Yo. Oh. How do I
got a
keep
hula
that?
hoop. You just can't see it.
Wait, let me see. Oh, no, it
haven't
won't let
dropped
me
it
do
yet.
that. It's
haven't
going
dropped
to
it
take
yet.
over.
What is up, guys?
Oh, my God.
I'm so tired. My face is all puffy. I think I gained 10 pounds, which happens when I travel. It's
Can you
of
guess
all the
where I've
bread.
been?
The restroom. The toilet, they say.
No.
Oh, we're that sad. You got to do something about that, dude. Eat more fiber.
Okay,
Yeah.
right now. Shall I just... Let me just go and get my fiber.
There you go. Paper, fiber.
No, fiber optics.
Fibers, actually. Well, we were talking a little bit about around this,
connected.
but I was looking at... Do what?
It's all connected.
It's all connected. When in Rome.
If you're struggling in the bathroom area, you just got to eat some PHP.
You got to PHP it out, maybe.
You got to PHP it all.
How the hell is everybody? Hey, everybody. We've been gone, and now we're back, and we're home.
People are here. People are on
People
time.
Are here. They're chatting.
They're awake.
Apparently. Lucky bastards.
Look,
yeah.
Oh, first message, Vince. Yes, Vince.
V Mitchell, 85. Hey, you don't look that old. It's crazy. Good for you, dude. I thought he'd be like maybe 40 or so. He's 85.
Do you think that 85 is the year that he was born, not his age right now?
No, I think he changes it every year.
All right.
Which is smart because like security and stuff, you know. Like change your password. Why change your password? Keep the same password, change your username.
Yeah. That's more secure somehow.
Yeah. Yep. I store my usernames in just raw strings in the database. So probably not.
Like threads, like fibers,
Fibers.
strings. Yeah.
That's right. Got a whole spool of
I knew it.
usernames in my database.
Spooling. Oh no, now we're getting into printer territory.
Oh. I don't have the energy for printers today.
No.
The Techie Tunes. What's up, Techie Tunes? Hey. You guys, I want to start off with a freaking demo. Can I show you guys some stuff? Please, Simon. Can I start with a demo?
Is it going to be a good demo, or is it going to be like one of the ones that you did the other day?
No, it's going to be really, really bad.
That's why I'm so you see my comment on your? I think you posted something on LinkedIn about. I did a presentation. Said,
yeah,
so like, proud of myself.
It sucks.
I'm feeling myself. Yes. It was the best. It was the best presentation. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm biased. It was the best presentation at Laracon EU.
I don't think that's well. I didn't see a lot of them, to be honest and fair, and I even got some harsh criticism from some spouses of speakers and stuff like that because I'm like I'm doing business and like you know like doing stuff, you know. So I'm not there for the like the recorded, and the quality of the recording's super good, really good.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take them very long to just chop them up to and get them out there. So I do have a new addition to the family. I don't. While I was gone, I actually adopted.
You ate that much food.
I did. It's a boy. No, I've got a new elephant.
Oh,
the Dutch Laravel Foundation. They had them on their table, and I walked up just so you guys have a little sneak peek behind the scenes of what it's like to be a in my shoes. I guess I don't know what I am, but I walked up and I was like, "Oh, so how do I get one of these elephants?" And they were like, "Well, we're not giving them out today, but you can come tomorrow. But there's going to be a line." And I was like, "Oh, all right, that kind of sucks." I was like, "So I'm gonna have to fight somebody, I guess, for it." You know, just joking along. Like, "So who are you with?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm the Shane from NativePHP," and they're like, "Oh, you can just have an elephant," because they're like, "Your name is we're like sponsoring them for stuff." So
yeah,
it was like, "Oh, see, I just wanted to see." He's like, "You should have said that sooner." I was like, "I just wanted to see how you treat, you know, the common folk or whatever."
Was that Chris?
It was Chris Hag. He says his name wrong. Yeah. I'm like, let me tell you what your culture is. We were just joking. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Let me tell you who you actually are.
Yeah. It's having some like I'll say heated. It wasn't heated. Like not even really a debate, but just like I think there's an interesting feeling in the community, I think, at the moment, you know, where especially people who are running community events that are expecting like even more from Laravel at the core because you know now supposedly they've got all this money and all of that.
Also have a ton of staff and events.
And it was just like he was making some comments, which I hope he doesn't mind me sort of airing this now. He can reach out to me.
I hope he does mind. Come on, Haggy.
But he was sort of suggesting without explicitly saying, and that's how I picked it up. So I could have interpreted it completely wrong. That you know, sort of hoping for more from the Laravel team. And I can't remember. I think it was Leah was there as well. So it was me and Leah and Chris, and I was just like, from my perspective, I think they're doing a lot more now for the community than they've ever been able to do before. And you know, I'm like, am I just shilling for Laravel now? What's going on? But I actually genuinely, it made me step back and sort of think like they're doing a lot for the community now. And I think people need to be a little bit more grateful. I'm not saying Chris in particular. He sort of
Chris Haig
self-corrected,
is an
but
ungrateful Dutch son of a.
no,
I hear what I can
no.
read between. I can read between the lines. You know.
I'm a little bit concerned that people don't necessarily fully appreciate the difference that's happened in just like a couple of years.
That's a hot topic to bring up. I'm only on my second cup of coffee in my new Laracon EU mug. Oh baby,
Yes, I've got one of those somewhere. I don't.
You know what I have?
I'm drinking PHP at the moment.
I have 3 things that nobody else in the world has, except one item. Someone has something very similar. Actually, I'm going to show you. Hold on.
This better be good.
I am the king. I am the king of merch. I have so much merch from everywhere. And in fact, I've got too much merch, and I will be giving out some of these items. So item number 1 that I'm going to show off to everybody. This is a Laracon. It's a very too small for me. A Laracon EU crew shirt.
What? How did you get that?
I'm about to tell you. So we went to a bar. I was the last one to leave this bar on day 2, and I go to leave, and I could see where Yaron, the coordinator for all of Laracon EU, where he was sitting, left his shirt on the stool. And I tried messaging him to tell him that. He didn't get back to me until I was in the airport taking off. He's like, just keep it. I said, okay. Yeah. But also was his zip down hoodie.
The famous hoodie that we were supposed to get, but I didn't get.
And it's too small for me, so I can't do anything. So I think we're going to do I'll wash it, but I think we'll do a giveaway. You have to be a size small and probably live in the US. And I've got one last item.
And now that it's been on the plane, you can call it jet swag.
Oh, that's corny.
Yeah.
I thought ahead on the first day backstage and was like, let's get one of these posters and have everybody sign them.
Yeah.
So I've got the signed by pretty much all the speakers. Taylor's up here. Here's Taylor. Yeah. For the Laracon EU 2026.
Did you sign it as well?
Of course I signed it.
Yeah.
Did you sign it?
I think, do you see Simon on there somewhere?
Oh yeah, it says Simon here. Maybe I think Dan did that one though.
Right. Okay. That was lucky.
Most people signed it. I don't think everyone did, but everybody that came back when I was there, I was like, sign it and tell everybody else to sign it. So I was like, we should do a giveaway. We should do a giveaway.
That's good. Make us to Los giveaways.
Yeah, why not? It's fun. I am going to keep the mug though. Sorry. I have so many stupid mugs I don't need anymore, but it's like, oh, I collect
you always need mugs because you're always drinking coffee. So
it's true. I collect mugs, not hair.
You can't collect hair. That's not possible.
Anything's possible, dude. We got PHP on the mobile.
Oh yeah, you're right. So interstellar travel next.
Let's do it. It's gonna happen.
All right, I mean, so there's some questions not at the current speeds because that's really slow. Yeah.
Can we go through some of these questions? I think we do these questions real quick, and then I want to do. I want to show this.
Got a demo.
Yeah. It's so cool, man. All right. So first, he's going away. All right, guys, listen. While he's gone, we can talk so much. Hey, Simon.
Did you like my butt?
Did I or do I still? Because I never didn't.
No, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Carry on.
So first, is this a recurring stream? First time I'm around. Hey, repair. Welcome to the first time. That's amazing. We very much appreciate you. We do try to do this every Friday at we changed times. Was noon Eastern to now 9 a.m. Eastern. Is that your new one? Is that your new elephant?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Is it Julia?
We have like twins or something. Like cousins.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cousins.
They've both got the same name.
I've had mine for like 5 years. He's the older brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Sorry,
do this every Friday. We try to do this every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. We like to just like hang out and talk crap about people we don't like and other architecture of things
That's
that
not true.
are stupid.
We're very
No, it's not
nice
true.
to people.
We're kind of nice. We like to joke around. We like
Except
to
to
hang
each
out.
other.
We like to talk about the stuff that we are doing because it's freaking awesome and we're proud of it. And yeah, so welcome. Please come back. Unless we scare you away, then don't even bother because that happens. We can be very, very, very offensive. Ask this V Mitchell guy. He knows. So I guess Simon is trying to get more followers for. Oh, did we both just push something? Oh, I did. Did I push the wrong one? Oh no, that's the one I wanted to push. My bad. He's trying to get more followers for Chris Morel, which is awesome.
No,
Great, dude.
so I'll explain that, right? Because Adrian's just messaged me separately, like with a red arrow pointing at the name, like, am I logged into the wrong account? So somebody came up to me. I think it was in the lift in the hotel on Sunday. It was like, "Ah, you're the Internachi guy," and I was like, "No."
Same accent and glasses and everything. Yeah.
It's like, I can understand why you'd mistake me for a very handsome, East Coast American, but sadly, I'm not. But I'll tell him when I next see him that you thought I was him, because I'm sure that'll make his day worse.
I am going to fly through these other questions real quick because I want to get to this demo. It's fun. It's going to be so fun.
Sorry.
I can't wait to show you.
Sorry.
No.
Carry
Don't be
on.
sorry. I should be sorry because I just like ignored completely everything you just said because I figure everybody else was listening and I'm just reading. Dude, it's getting a little anxiety.
Everybody else
so
has been ignoring it.
The one thing I don't like about Riverside is like I'm reading through these messages. I go to click on one and then somebody else sends a message and then it like scrolls down to the bottom.
Just stop sending messages for a minute so you can
give me a second, guys. No, now they're all gonna spam the shit out of me and I'm not gonna be able to do anything.
Exactly. Come on.
All right.
Hit it.
Jet lag. I got home at like 9 p.m. last night. I don't feel like I have jet lag though. I got up a couple hours early, but not the 6 hours difference that there is. Love your videos, guys. With Shane, W Shane. Oh, W Shane. That's what Nuno was saying. W Shane. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you so much. We like doing these. It's very much part of our job and we love it. Swag giveaway. Yep. What is the minimum Android version required for the Jump app? Good question. So version 3.1 for NativePHP is coming out and it will be backward compatible for Android down to version 8. We announced that at Laracon EU. We'll have that out this week, I'm sure, probably the next day or two. And then I will make the update for Jump to support that as well. So that'll definitely be coming out. Ooh, good questions. Good questions. All right, you guys got to stop with the questions for a second. Why did you not tell me that it's too small for you? Because this was like after everybody else had gone. Like this is way later. This is everybody had mostly left and stuff. And I wanted to genuinely just get this back to Jeroen. So and I don't know if medium would fit me anymore after the trip. So thank you for the offer. But
ever again. You'll never be able to get down to medium ever again.
So offensive. Yes. Punya, what's up, brother? Punya Pal, listen, man, Punya Pal did us a huge favor. I don't know if you saw that, but he was like, our mobile air package only has like 200 stars on it and it's free and open source. You guys are nuts. And it's over 500 in like one day from him posting that. Insane. Like super, super good looking out and good job. And I really appreciate that.
Let's get it to 1,000. I want it to be loads.
I will explain this.
Trending.
We do need, we'll get there. It's going to happen. It's going to be trending. We'll be on like Product Hunt and all that stuff or something. I don't even know if that's a thing. So the model, I'll quickly explain this. So I took a picture of Taylor I just looked at like full body, tried to get a full body picture of him like walking on stage from a couple years ago or whatever. And I fed that to Nana Banana, and you need it in an A frame. So it's like the arms like this, not, you can do T frame to A frame, right? And So I told Nana Banana put it in A-frame pose, and he did that, and like transparent background, and got that all right. It was like messing up with the face a little bit, so I fed it more pictures of what the face should look like, close-ups of Taylor, just to get it a little bit more accurate, keep the glasses on and all that stuff. There's a website called meshy.ai. I think I paid $10 or something for credits to transform a 2D image into a 3D object, and then you rigged it, which is like telling it where the shoulders are and the wrists and the hands and all that stuff, so it can animate. Then you apply the texture, which is the original image, and then you just animate it, and then it exports as a USDZ or a GLB, which is for Android or for iOS, the file that it needs for augmented reality. And I just did it for iOS for the demo, and then created a plugin in like 5 minutes to do the plugin part, to just take the file and render it. So that was it. Taylor allowed it. Yeah, I wasn't initially. I was just like doing it, and then I was like, I should ask. I should ask Taylor. So I pinged him real quick, and he was like, "Yep, no problem." It's like, sweet, thanks, that's awesome. I'd like did a screenshot video of it, and so he could see the whole animation. So he was fine with it. It was super nice, super nice.
We didn't do it, but I think there should have been a sort of battle of the demos, because there weren't many tech demos. So like Marcel showed his, and you did yours, and mine was just it wasn't, it was very simple. And
dude,
then
you against me in Japan, because we're on the stage.
Yeah,
you'd be like, you think that's cool, watch this.
Ding ding ding.
Okay. And then we just ask everybody, who do you think was the best one?
Yeah, but you're gonna win.
Yeah. All right. So there's more questions coming in. I'm gonna do the demo. You guys ready? Y'all ready for this? All right. Here we go.
Waiting for that. Oh no, you've come in too quickly.
Go ahead. What?
My bad. I was just gonna say, like the video, everybody. Like if you're on
like
YouTube,
it, share it,
like the video.
Tell your mom's friends about us.
Tell your mom.
Well, it'll get back to her. All right, here we go. Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. And you see my camera also. This is my actual phone here. Okay. I, on the plane, did not sleep. 8-hour flight, didn't sleep, because it was driving me nuts. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing now with PHP, with this new super native stuff, there's a couple cool, really interesting architectural moving parts that are making everything possible. But I wanted to apply some of what I'm doing back to the old way, because I think there's some performance improvements that we can gain from this new architecture in the web view. So what you're seeing, this is the kitchen sink app, and I've got it compiled twice on my phone here. So I've got this old and this new. I hope you guys can see that okay. If not, let me
it's looking good.
Okay. So I've got this old and this new. So the old is compiled against version 3.0.4, and then the new is against the new element air, whatever, that I've been working on. So let's look at old. We're gonna open old. Now the boot times are gonna be a little slow just because it's still in debug mode. That wasn't actually that bad. So this is all I'm gonna what I'm really want to show you: navigating between pages. Okay, so every time we tap on anything, any of these links, it's going to navigate us to it. And this is all Livewire. They're both the same applications. It's just compiled differently. So I'm going to click the scanner button on the bottom. Clicked, and it's gone. In fact, I can click on it on the screen so you can see exactly when I click it. So I'm about to click 1, 2, 3, click, and it loads. Click, and it loads. And this has been driving me nuts for a while. And if I go back and forth like this, look at that. It's not even doing anything.
Yikes.
Not very good. And it's irked me for the longest time. On a real on the simulator, it's not really like this. But this is a real phone. Really,
it's a crappy phone. Yeah.
Really crappy. shitty. I want
But
to say
still.
shitty because I'm like fucking 50. I mean, whatever. All right. So this is actual like this side nav is actual Chrome, like it's actual native. So that's going to be quick, but the navigating is very slow and it's about a second. It's almost a full second from one to the other. Are you guys ready to see the new build? This is so cool. This is the same
They're not ready.
application.
They're
I've
so
done
not
nothing
ready.
except use, well, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff, but it's the same application. There's nothing done to the application itself to change anything. I'm going to click video.
They need to show us that they're ready.
Oh, yeah, let's wait.
I'm not seeing readiness.
Well, then I'm not going to do it.
Come on.
I think Ben James created a splash screen plugin that I really am excited to get into, actually. Yeah, we'll just wait. You guys ready? We'll start when or we'll just unplug the phone. That's fine too. Anyway, how you been, dude? How was your flight? Did you make it on time?
We'll talk about that later. That was funny, man.
Did you guys go quiet?
That was rubbish. Yeah.
All right, repair the new
disappeared on
guy.
us.
You guys, the new guy showing up the old guys. Come on, he was the first
Right.
one. You're
One.
welcome. You are
Adrian
welcome
says
into our
no.
streams
Please
anytime.
wait. Yeah. Okay. That's enough.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We're gonna talk, Kelly. We'll talk about the new stuff too. All right. We're ready? Okay. Here we go. Microphone, video, scanner, network.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. It's a little bit quicker. Dude, it's fast. What did you do?
So several things. I think the most important for this is that we have a persistent PHP. So before, PHP was literally booting for every request, which was taking us into, you know, I mean, at best on a simulator, it was like 150 milliseconds for page transition. So now PHP is booted and it's warm, but at C, in the C code of PHP, it is simply just stopped. It's resting. It is waiting for requests to come through. And then we have this little event system that allows the device to wake up PHP, process whatever it needs to, and continue on. So in the simulator, and I can show you, actually, I think this should have been part of the demo, technically. So let's go to, which one would it be? It would be this one. I think, yeah. All right, cool. So if we look at, this is not like just a counter. So it's like a full page load in this case, but I was just doing like a simple counter. So you can see like going to the video was 135 milliseconds, but that's for the full page. Microphone 119 milliseconds. Whereas
I don't think we can see that other window if you're looking at a different window. We can only see
right.
the screen share.
1 second. Yep, you are right. One moment.
You're just sharing the one thing.
I'll just do the whole screen.
YOLO.
Yep. All right, so this is the, can't remember which one this is. One second. It's all impromptu.
I'm prompt too.
You're kind of hilarious. All right, I'm going to unplug my phone and then plug it back in. This thing gets a little janky. Just Chrome Inspect does with the debug stuff. Give it a couple seconds. Well, it's really Chrome.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's not use Chrome.
No, that's the wrong thing. Oh, that would be great if we could find a tool solution for that. All right. Well, this isn't working, so phooey. Bummer. Yeah.
It's going to be one of those where you have to like quit Chrome to make it work again or something.
I'm not going to do that.
Do that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, anyway, you guys could see it. It's literally like that
it was
much
fast.
faster.
Yeah. So just give us the raw numbers comparison that
So just a simple. I had just a counter, just a Livewire counter. Just a count was when you in Livewire, you can see like the whole update in the debugger, the Livewire update, whatever it is. Okay, I'm ready now. Adrian's ready now. Did you really not see it? I can't tell if
you
he's
missed
joking
it, man. No, he's joking. He's got a great sense of humor.
He's as slow as the older version. So it was 150 milliseconds. I have screenshots of this. 150 milliseconds round trip before is now 15 milliseconds average. So it's like between 10 and like 18 or something. And then it was like between 140 and 160 before. So literally 10 times faster in the web view. Literally 10 times faster in the web view. I want to address a very important question here, which is this one. All right. Number one, we are going to do our absolute best to not bump major versions to a version 4 with this new stuff. We don't know yet if that's fully possible, but so far in my experience, it is fully possible. Just to keep version 3 train going. We are not getting rid of the web view. So that means Livewire, React, Vue, JavaScript, all of that is just going to work. The new native stuff is not any of those technologies. It is not Livewire. It is not React. It is not Java. There's no JavaScript. It is all PHP. And so what we're talking about here is really creating a brand new library framework that's very similar to Livewire that will be for native components, native PHP. And I'm very excited about what Eric Barnes might have to say about that, to be honest.
It's not really Eric Barnes, so he doesn't sound anything like him. But
I thought he did, actually. That was pretty good. So we're going to have that question come up a lot, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's at least the third time already.
Yeah. But we're going to be able to detect based on what route you go to if you are trying to render WebView or native and just do that. So Laravel is needed for super native. Laravel is needed for me to wake up in the morning. I don't know what that question really means, Punya Pal.
I want to go to just on that whole like WebView versus native thing, because it's kind of funny, right? When we first put this out and people would say to me, "Oh, it's just a WebView." I'm like, yeah, because that's like a very quick way of taking people on the journey from where they are right now to where we can build mobile apps. And then we get to actually making it fully native and people start worrying about the web view going away. It's like, but the point isn't to comment on that sort of disparity in people's thinking. I think it's the fact that as a tool, native PHP is going to be capable of both of these things at a really high level. Like what you've just seen as a web view demo, that's like the fastest web view demo that we can produce to date. Which we showed something similar on iOS a couple of months back when I was exploring some of this stuff earlier, and it is just like an order of magnitude faster on both platforms, and that's amazing. Where you can get to under whatever it needs to be, 16 milliseconds or something to to get those very, very rapid feeling UIs. And so doing absolutely nothing, your apps will feel even better in a web view, and that's not going away. So that's really, really cool. And then on top of that, if you want the full, like, I don't want to write tons of JavaScript or CSS animation logic and whatever, like all the fancy stuff, the front end things. I just want to benefit from like native UI, standard things.
I
And
would
just,
not ever phrase it that way at all. You made it sound like I don't want to do anything new or different. No, this is enterprise level native mobile applications we're talking about. This is not like,
no. So I think of it as, I'm still coming from the mindset of the Laravel developer who's been doing web applications for a really long time. So it's like you can do all of that stuff and still build a web-like application and ship it as a mobile app. We're not taking that away. But as Shane's saying, like the native UI stuff is way better for this kind of thing. And that is why you see people using, these are like enterprise grade tools and pushing for all of that to be even better. That's where we've got to get to. That's where we're going. And this is our, first mile marker towards that. So come on the journey, because
will not fall short until we are globally recognized as a major competitor, at least to React Native and Flutter. We want to be another option. We're fully capable. PHP is fully capable of it. We're proving that every day. We're getting more and more into it and able to show that and demonstrate that. And like, it's not just like how snappy is it on a phone. It's how much processing can it actually handle for real native stuff. In fact, I am fully convinced we can render full video games inside of a native PHP application with LiveWire running. Fully. It's not even I'm fully convinced. I know how to do it, and I'll have that as a demo in the coming months or whatever. That will happen.
That's the demo that we should do for Japan.
That would be interesting.
And we're playing a game and we write the logic in PHP.
Yeah. Fully capable of that. For a lot of reasons, we're going to be at least as performant as React Native. Flutter is it's cheap, in my opinion. They've done like what they've done, like architecturally, what they've done under the hood is great. They're writing, pixels directly to the screen instead of going through some of the loopholes that we have to. The problem with that is that if iOS or Android come out with any new UI elements, they have to then build support in for that. Like it took them a while to get Liquid Glass to look like Liquid Glass because it's not native. They're faking native stuff, where this is all actual native elements to the device. So
I don't know how true that is about React Native, because were you talking about Flutter specifically?
Flutter, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, React Native is native. It renders native elements.
Yeah.
So here's a little demo. You can go download this right now locally on your computer and compile it. But this is like one of the things that I demoed at EU, right? So this was like, these are one shots, 5 minutes or so for Claude to like just say, hey, do an Airbnb clone. And this is what it gave me. It's just got the two views, but it's got the master and list detail kind of, rendering going on here. But I also added like a real, this is, native, whatever, but the page transitions and all that stuff like this, you would expect this not to slide in from the right or fade in when I click one of these. It should just load a new one, right? So I'm very purposefully like instructing it when I navigate from side nav. We don't necessarily want to do that. You can modify that though, which is really nice. But if I click on like this and forget some of the colors and some of the spacing, it's a lot of work that needs to be done for that stuff. But if I click on this tweet, it's going to slide in from the right. Oh, actually that one didn't, which is kind of interesting. There you go. That one did. So you can see like that backstack. There it goes. Yeah. Maybe it just didn't look like it. Maybe I didn't see it. So yeah. So I wanted to show this. This is all native stuff. This is how real mobile applications are done. The beauty of all this is that, yes, we're not doing like, we're not doing we're not doing like Livewire and we're not doing JavaScript, but it's all Laravel. So all of the architecture, controllers, web.php, sending stuff through an API, queuing stuff, which is coming soon. All of that stuff is going to be very familiar, and all the packages that you want to bring in from Laravel. So if you want to log in with Facebook, use Socialite. If you want to take Stripe payments, use Cashier. All of that's going to be fully supported. And that's the huge win for this whole project. It's fully native and it's fully PHP. Right?
Yum.
Sure.
Did you ever have a dime bar? Do they have dime bars?
A what?
Do you know what a dime bar is? Chocolate bar.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's not really a chocolate bar, but so I don't know if they still exist. I haven't had one in a really long time.
What are you talking about right now?
A chocolate bar. You say it's like fully native and fully PHP at the same time. It just made me think of a dime bar. A dime bar is a Swedish chocolate bar, and it's got this crunchy caramel almond thing in the middle. So it's like a sweet, basically. And then they cover it in a thin layer of chocolate. It's both a chocolate bar and a sweet at the same time. And they're amazing.
It sounds very confusing.
You have to try one. In fact,
I'll just stick with the native PHP if it's the same.
It used to be called dime, like what is a dime? What is a dime?
I don't know what you're saying right now.
It's a coin, but you know, like 10 cents or something. That's a dime, isn't it? And then they changed the name to something else. Yeah, anyway, I'm going off on a little rant about dime bars.
I know, yeah, it's confusing the shit out of me, dude. Stop. Talking about how we're gonna take over the world, and you're like, chocolate. You know, I like chocolate.
Well, actually, yeah, we could go down that route as well, because chocolate was used to take over the world, but that's a whole other lesson. We need we need Dave in here to give us one of his like history lectures. Cool.
Anyway, I'm missing out on what everybody's talking about, so I'm gonna get back into
the chat is popping off. There's like a full on fight about WebView. I don't know, it's not a fight, but WebView versus native.
What about it? Let me go back and read some of these things, or you just highlight some stuff that's
so it kind of keeps jumping down. It's not fair. Basically, I think Kelly started with something along the lines of the idea is that the web view has got, like, the idea of having both in the same application is gone. And I'm just going to say, no, I think this actually makes it easier if you wanted to get your web application and native app in the same repo.
I got to say something. From the very beginning, though, we've been telling everybody that's not how you do stuff. We're not building it that way. And for a lot of reasons, because mobile and web are not the same world at all. And if you're trying to use the same components like UI stuff, you're going to run into problems, because that's not the right way to think about that. In fact, I would say like 40% of React Native's energy is wasted trying to make it work that way. You can have the logic work in the same application. And I like to put all of my API endpoints inside of my native PHP project and all the UIs there. And I just deploy that repo to Cloud or Forge and deploy to the app stores and just change the env keys for, hang on a second, I'm getting notifications I don't want. Change the env to just point to that API endpoint, and that's it. So all of my logic is in one place. I just deploy it out to 2 different spots and ready to rumble, shake and bake, baby, But the web, listen, if I wanted to do, and I use this example, that's right. If I wanted to do biometric authentication on web, you can't do it. And someone said, oh, you just use the fingerprint thing. Windows doesn't have that. Linux doesn't have that. Not every computer has that. It's got to be a completely different. If you're trying to use the exact same logic for things, it's gonna just have problems. And the way that you're rendering stuff, find me one application, any web popular, find me any in the top Fortune 500 applications, websites, whatever that are out there, where their web and their app are exactly the same. Even your bank doesn't use the same stuff. It's very different logic. The way that you go about it is very different. And I will argue that until we're blue in the face. That being said, you can switch. We can have like a native.php in our routes directory and go that route and have like web be all, so like your backend controllers can all be the same and all that stuff, but you would still build your front ends differently. Yeah.
See, this is how I've always seen it, and where I assume the question goes when people are asking me this. It's like you shouldn't be trying to build a back-end application and a front-end application in the same thing and trying to deploy them to different places. What you can do, what you could do, I'm not saying you should or that we can do this right now, like it's possible right now, but what you in a flurry of other tools you might be able to do, where the client application, so like the web, let's say front end, the web front end and your mobile phone application are running on the same kind of technology, but your backend application is another application, essentially is deployed to a different place. It's got its whole infrastructure and things. But as Shane's saying, you still have to think in that scenario, you still have to think about like, what are the constraints of the system where the front end application, the client application is going to be deployed. And they're not identical. Like all of these tools trying to build front ends, SPAs basically, and then just convert that to a mobile app, are sort of doomed to hit dependency hell, because the only way that you can manage all of that is if you don't want to do it, is if other people think about it. And that means complexity. And that complexity is like decisions that are taken out of your hands. And it just leads to a world of pain. Like you just don't, I think it comes to this place of like, you clearly, if you're trying to do all of this stuff, you're not thinking about the user, you're just thinking about you or your team or like business costs and that kind of thing. And that's kind of the wrong approach. I mean, those things are important as well, but they're not as important as
The users.
what's the end user experience.
That's right. Yep.
So if you've got the end user experience in there, it's all going to shake out properly.
I don't know if that's the one is that the one you just posted or not?
I didn't post anything.
Oh, well, you did earlier. Anyway, I would say, Kelly,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah. We're not saying that you can't do this. We're saying that we are not building it in that direction, that we're not supporting that directly. And I think that's the big distinction. You can figure things out, but we don't recommend it, and we don't support that, at least not now. That could change later, but that's it. Yeah, we're very much opinionated on the fact that mobile. We've always said this. It's not turn your Laravel application into a mobile app. It's build mobile apps with Laravel, right?
Yeah.
Building mobile apps.
I also don't think it's ever been a case of like using the same Laravel code base for both. I know those things are eerily similar, but just like we have always said consistently from the beginning that you shouldn't try to build a single application that you deploy to multiple environments.
I want
some people
clarification.
will try and they want to, but
this is going to take some time for him to respond. I'll let you finish. But do we have state management stuff like Provider and Flutter? I don't know Flutter or React Native. So could you just explain what those are briefly, and we'll answer that more appropriately?
Yeah. So just like don't try and build. Like it's so easy to start a new Laravel application as well. I just don't understand like why. What's the constraint that you're trying to solve for? Is it reusing views? Is it reusing logic? Right? Because if it's reusing logic, then remember that if you're deploying that to a web server, that's a different environment. and that
Right.
logic may not work in its new environment on a phone. So that's problem number one. If it's reusing views, pull those views out into like their own separate little bundle that you can share between, you know, it can be a package that you share between two code bases. That's very easy to do. Very easy. I was doing it for years at a previous company. And it's not, I'm not saying it's like a perfect solution, but it's not hard. And yeah, you just find other ways to do it, because certainly for now as well, because it's like part of the tooling that's required to make that really work really well from a single code base is just not there. If somebody wants to go and solve that problem, sort of please be my guest, but it's not an easy problem to solve by any means.
Not if you're thinking about the full problem. I think it's easy to just kind of make an example, or you know, even a little bit more robust, but there's a lot of things to consider. Session, CSRF, things that are like on web that we don't use or need on mobile and stuff like that, you know. Necessarily we do have session, but you know, but yeah, just solving for all those things, wrappers around all of the different APIs that we're doing, and having that built into the plugins that we're, you know, that we're doing in third party, you know.
Yeah, the longer it goes on, the more people are going to build specifically for mobile, and the less likely they're going to consider it like, oh, you're going to try and deploy this to the web. And so then it's going to force you to write a whole bunch of like wrapping logic just to like detect which environment you're in and do a whole bunch of rubbish that you don't need to do or shouldn't need to do. It's going to make your applications feel really, really messy. I don't think it's worth it.
Rick James is asking, doesn't understand the discussion. My understanding was, going back to the other James, Rick James. We got Rick James and Ben James. Rick James. No, is it both Ben James? They're both Ben James. Hold on. Who am I? What's going on? Kelly Waves. Think some things straight, so now it's clear we have WebView, native view. That's enough for me. Yeah, maybe I misunderstood, but it's also a good point to make, even if I didn't, or if I did, about just making sure we're on the same page going forward. We're saying you probably could figure out something, but we're not supporting that, and that's all. Yeah.
I think the why bother with WebView, just to be like, the WebView is still a valid option for lots and lots of people.
I agree. Honestly, I agree fully with that sentiment. I'm like, yeah, now that we have native, or now that we're going towards, like, I would say, like, why even bother with that? Especially now that it's faster. I could see, like, if you're already just used to building Livewire JavaScript, you have that as an option, so you could just do that. But I think that native, that mobile app should be native. This is what I've been wanting for over a year now. And now, like, I will never build probably another WebView app with NativePHP, you know?
Absolutely. And I think there's one really important reason for that. And it was a discussion I was having at Laracon US last year with somebody who was basically calling me out on it being just a WebView, and the fact that from their perspective, I think they saw me as just pushing WebView technology as the right way to do this stuff. And they said quite rightly, and I fully agree with them, that assistive technologies are way better with native components than they will ever be with the web, because the web is moving too slowly. And that alone is the reason to use, if nothing else, like performance or like the look and feel or any of that crap, that alone is the reason to use native components fully for your application, because you're going to get all of the affordances that like lots and lots of people expect from their devices that they've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for. And they need that technology to help them get through their day. And so we're basically getting you all of that for free. So that's you should just use the native. But what I'm saying is, for the teams who know what they're the audience is, and they know that like they can prototype very rapidly with JavaScript and Livewire and whatever else, they can still do that too. So I don't think it would be a case of lots of proper apps, let's say, using that as the final solution and shipping that to the stores. I think it will be a stepping stone towards, okay, let's now, we've proven this out for a client or for, our user base or whatever it is, let's now go and flesh this out as the proper native components. The only argument against even that step is that it's just so damn fast to build with the native components and an LLM. So like maybe you don't even need to go to the trouble.
I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm gonna bring the no, keep going. Or don't, that's fine too. I'm gonna
no,
do
I think
another.
we should pause on that now.
I'm gonna demo a little bit more here for you. So this is we don't need any of this stuff open, but this is the kitchen sink app, and I'm gonna start it with a watcher. So there's a new we still have, so this is my I should explain some of this. So you can do like PHP artisan native, or you can do /native. I've done this before, but I have an alias for that, so just n. So I can do n run, and then you can do Android, or you can just do a. So I do n run a, so that's going to start it up. Then I'm going to say watch, so -W. And then since I'm not worried about right now Vite or CSS compiling or anything like that, we have a new flag here for no Vite, because I just don't need it. And I'm going to use my actual device here. So that's going to start up, but I wanted to show some of this here. Hold on a second, you guys. Let's get this side by side with my.
Ooh, fun.
Isn't that cool? You like it? All right. Let's go like this. That'll come up in a second. That's what she said. Yep, you heard me.
Tease us. Right. What are you actually?
I'm gonna show swapping between WebView and native, just so you can see like it's fully prepared here, or it's fully like supported between the two. Just give it a second to finish building.
Cool. Whilst that's doing, I know it's not going to be very long, but there was an earlier question about what was it? State management.
Is there a clarification?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I've been reading through and I don't recall seeing specifically an answer to that question that we asked. But just my assumption is like you'll want to do some things like what's it called? Pina for view and that kind of thing, where you're putting some values that are getting watched into some central state store and the UI is kind of just responding. And I think the answer is yes. We talked about this some weeks ago privately, and there's a very straightforward solution to that with the tooling that we've kind of been building here. And yes, it will come out eventually as part of it. I don't think it's there yet though. So basically a shared blob of just basic data in memory that can just be updated from either side.
I'm confused about that though. Why? First of all, where did my thing go? Should have this. Why? How would you do it with Livewire?
Well, the state's a prop in the class, isn't it? But then you might have props on like super components, like parent components that get shared between components, and you won't want to be computing all of those values down into each subcomponent. You'll just want to store a single reference to it and have it.
Why this isn't working. Oh, this might be. Yeah, but I mean, I don't understand. Yeah, this is wrong. I need to change this.
I think there's a bunch of reasons why just having like a separate state store is going to be very useful. That's not tied explicitly to like a UI component.
You could do that with your own, like, you could just make your own class and do like service container or IOC stuff, right? Like that's like already part of what you can do with PHP with Laravel anyway. If you want to bring in some dependency or some data, global state of data, which how would you do that with a Laravel application? I still go back to that. How would you do it in Laravel?
It's talking. I'm talking about something that's like you can just have data that's stored arbitrarily in like the disk or a database or a file that you've created just to put some stuff in. But I think the point is reactivity with the UI. As like this is an explicit store of state that I want globally, and I can reference from any part of the UI. And that will need to be on the native side. It won't just be in the PHP side because.
But besides session and database and other things that are already built in, why would you need anything else?
Because those other things are going to be slower in one way or another.
Why?
Because it won't be stored just in memory that's shared immediately with the main application.
I would argue it'd be nanoseconds, completely imperceptible, even at huge scales of volume of data. You won't notice that. We'll explore. I'm just trying to figure out like what problem you're trying to solve with this, that's not already solved.
Again, I think it comes down to the reactivity. Like if I have to delegate some of that to PHP, I'm basically saying like my UI component has got to explicitly know that this data lives somewhere outside of its own realm. And we've got to call out to it, wait for it, get it back, and then update the internal state of that component natively. You do if you're going to present some information.
Yeah, but the way that I've done this, it's nanoseconds to do that work, to go through PHP.
Yeah, but I don't. Just think about it as a state management problem, like it's done with Pineer and whatever.
But those are stateless. This is stateful anyway.
No, Pineer is a state management solution,
right? Because Vue or whatever is stateless, right?
Well, in the realm of the front end, no, because the state is persisted across requests. So, and then because they're not real requests, or it's not a full browser page reload. So you do just having that like bucket of things that I can store that's already in the realm of the UI rendering domain is just super valuable. So I can see that being a thing that you will want to do on the native side. Like I just want like a blob of memory that is for gosh, what's the word? Just like standard variables, no complex objects necessarily, but that then is, as soon as I update it from either side, wherever it needs to be reflected in the UI or within PHP code to like do something, it will react, and you can't really do that if you're saying, the native side has to reach out to PHP to get that bit of information, or PHP has to explicitly push it in somewhere. It'll come out with examples. I think that's that you probably don't have too many examples of how people might want to use
that's where I'm trying
right
to get to. Like, what would you ever get? Like, that's it. I can't think of an example of like, when would you need this? I know what you're saying. I understand the problem space pretty well, but I fully know that PHP is capable of doing that all through the mechanisms that are already built in, extremely low latency, even at scale. It is because of flat buffers. We have flat buffers. We're writing directly into memory. It's completely shared. It is nanoseconds at best.
I think that might be the thing to kind of show, like, if you were doing this with an SPA, this is how you would do it, and this is how we achieve the same result here. And it's like, here's how it's the same, and why you don't need another solution. I'm not, my my intuition goes to that there's probably state management in all of the native app libraries, and that doing something idiomatic there would be appropriate rather than trying to forge a new path, but maybe not. So
that's why I think we can leverage PHP. I mean, that's exactly, or Laravel at least, some of the constructs inside of Laravel are already handling that. That's kind of the beauty of what we can do here.
Yeah, I think it's just going to come down to like how familiar then that experience is with what people already know versus it being a completely new paradigm. Because I think we might end up actually talking about the same kind of thing. If it's already in a shared memory space, what I'm seeing at the moment is that's it's just like UI tree stuff, and so the state is just part of the UI, and it's all like bundled together. But to update the UI, you might not want to update the whole tree or even parts of the tree. You might just want to update the data, and that's when that becomes sort of really powerful. Like it's not even necessarily about performance. It's just like simplicity of what you're doing from a developer experience.
I just want to make sure we're not wasting time necessarily overcomplicating a solved problem. That's where I'm coming from. I think it's you and I, like, we have to talk about a lot of this stuff anyway, and I don't mind doing it on air at all because it's kind of fun. It's good content, right? That's what Aaron would say.
Yeah. So I mean, just as a quick, like, I mean, I've said this already, but Repair has said, imagine you have 3 levels deep inheritance of components. Accessing the same state would be simple and easy. And that is kind of the point. And it's like how you might be doing it at the moment might essentially be copying values across, and it's not actually reactive state, where they're looking at an explicit pool of shared values. But I don't know how you've implemented it at the moment, so it's hard to say.
So, right. So instead of like passing like properties into nested components, right, to avoid having to do that, there's some global sort of state. Again, exactly. I go back to reactivity is no problem with session or with database data. If the way that you're getting and putting the data there is set up properly to read directly from that, so that, I mean, we have like emitters and dispatching and like, bubbling up events and stuff, just like Livewire does, to just signal to another process to run a function that's going to retrieve that data or whatever. And you're not going to have any latency in doing that. So I do feel like those are still solved problems.
The question is probably then, like, where is, if I say the counter component has currently got a value of 10, where is that value actually being passed into the, essentially into the native side, I'm going to say, but like, what's its structure in that shared memory space? Is it like the component wraps that value, or is the value a separate thing and the component just reads it?
Well, it depends on how you structure it, right? Like if it's just a public property, that's one thing. That's going to be just kind of in memory, and I'm not sure how shareable that would be. But if you're putting stuff in and out of session and you're constantly reading and writing from the same place, then you got all that, you win all that for free, right?
Yeah, but then it's like it's fine that it's in memory and that's shared between like the two sides. I think it's when you've got one component looking at another component and you're saying, right, now I want the value of the counter right now, or I want the value of that counter specifically right now. And how it does it is does it have to traverse the UI tree, like whatever that data structure looks like, to find that value? Or do you just have some state where you can just go, these are the values that I care about? As the developer, I can say, I have counter A and its value is this.
So I think there might be opportunity there to build, I just don't think that we need this. But you could build like a state management, whatever, that's got session driver or database driver or API driver, or you know what I mean? So like it's one common, it's a very Laravel way to do things. A common library, you know, you just, if you want to change drivers out later, you can do that. Or if you just want to always specify, you know, or maybe I'm using API for some of the data and I'm using database or session, whatever it is locally. Or secure storage could also be another driver, right? But the UI is always going to go through the UI tree regardless, always. But that's the win that we've got here. That's the win. Each node in the tree is 108 bytes. I was just chatting with Claude about this, actually. That's a picture. Hang on a second. Well, let me show you this real quick because I finally got it working.
Yeah, go for it.
So I can go to web view, and this is going right into the web view. So this is like the full web view stuff. Close this. And then I can go right back into native by going here. So you can go back and forth, and it's like there's no delay. You couldn't really tell the difference unless I'm telling you these are actual native components. But you can see the ripple and run the benchmark. You can go to the demo and see all the stuff, you know, which is, you know, pretty cool.
Lovely. That's very lovely.
Go back, go to web view, go back to native. And there was some work that I had to do in that, like memory and allocation, whatever stuff. So I will bring up this chat because I think it's relevant. I was just talking about, because I explore a lot of things with this. Let's go into, let's see here. Oh, it's on a previous, son of a bitch. Shared memory. All right, so we'll just give that a second. It's caramelizing, guys. Stick to me.
Is there a way to access MongoDB connection?
I don't see why not.
I mean,
yeah, we need a driver in PHP for that, wouldn't we?
I don't know what the context is there, but my brain immediately goes to where are you running Mongo, and it's probably not on the phone,
right?
So you don't want to do that because it's going to mean having your credentials. Well, first of all, it's going to lead to people doing things like what was done by default in Mongo years ago, which is to just have an open Mongo server open to the internet with no credentials on it, which is obviously bad. But the other is to ship your credentials with your app, which is also really bad. So don't do that either. The best solution is to use an API, as always. Like stick your
mobile
database
development 101. Using API. That's all mobile developers will tell you this.
So yeah, wrap your database layer in a proper authentication authorization solution and interact with your database through that more appropriate interface.
Here we go. Here's the full picture, Simon. The architectures. You actually have two shared memory systems side by side. The V2 wire format, variable length, self-describing binary nodes, double buffered 2 megabyte tree buffers, around 4.8 megabyte total region.
I don't understand any of this.
Keep going. Header has magic NPV, which is native native PHP version 2. Tree batch events. It just decided to name it that. Tree batch event offsets, atomic version counters, and POSIX mutex convar pairs. The element runtime, which is more specifically what we're talking about now, is the 108 byte flat buffer. It's fixed stride, 108 bytes per node, packed struct, 0 copy direct memory access, single 4 megabyte flat buffer plus. And this is not the Google flat buffers. It's the same concept though. We don't have all the overhead or separate dependencies for anything. Plus a separate 4 meg prop buffer for variable length props. Man, I went so deep into like opcache and opcodes, and you can like actually write opcache to a file inside of the apps cache and have that at first boot. You might take 800 milliseconds, but after that, it's like 200 milliseconds. This is way faster. Anyway. The 108 byte node layout. So this is how they're all laid out. These are the different fields, the different things. We have like on press, on long press, width, like all these different things. And this can grow, this can change, but they're allocated in memory of what these items actually are, right? So the total is 108 bytes per node. Every layout style property is inline in the node. Known direction for common fields, variable length props, text, options, etc. They go into the separate prop buffer referenced by prop, offset, prop size. That I will want more explanation on. PHP writes.
I understand all of that. I've done this kind of binary stuff before.
PHP writes the flat buffer, atomically increments the tree version, and signals tree cond. Kotlin blocks on the cond var, wakes up, reads the buffer directly, same memory via JNI, which I have to always do JNI. I try to get around it, but you can't. You don't have to do JNI, anything like that. You write directly to C. Parses the flat nodes, updates compose state, events flow the reverse direction with event mutex and event cond. So it just signals back and forth to each other, and that's how you're writing directly into the same memory, and then you're just saying, hey, ready, hey, ready, hey, ready, It's like, all right, got it. And then it's interacting from the native side. That's PHP entering and saying, hey, here you go. On the native side, it's like you touch the button and it's just signaling back. This is the event that's happened. This is the data that's passing through, et cetera, and just reads from the same place. So it's just signaling back and forth. The element runtime also has shadow buffers for frame skip optimization. It compares the new flat buffer against the shadow to detect if anything actually changed before signaling to Kotlin. So it's a little bit smart there. It's kind of like what React Native does. They do DOM diffing on a virtual DOM, but we don't have a virtual DOM overhead to worry about because we're directly inside of the same.
That all comes sort of for free in JavaScript because it's come from JavaScript. But
come on, let's ask more questions.
Well, no, I'm just like trying to assess that. So what if you go back up to the definition for the bytes? So that 108 byte node layout. So every time you update one of these nodes, you have to, I'm assuming, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to update the entire node.
Yep. Every time.
Yeah. And that makes sure that you don't, like you've got to send, even if it's all the same state, except for one value that's changed.
Well,
we've got to send all of it.
I did have that. No, that's in the diffing. So I can't remember
that'll do it like sub node diffing, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And there might be ways to do that. The problem is where you end up doing that work would probably be in the PHP side of things. And that's actually going to be slower than just replacing 108 bytes in memory. Like that's actually way cheaper than trying to figure out what's changed first and then just send that one thing or 10 things over.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, let's just, let me walk through the journey a little bit because
let's do it.
I think we'll get to the place that I want to get to eventually. Which one of these fields actually represents, say, in a counter, the value of the current count?
This is for the UI stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yep.
Oh, so that's where you're going with this, right? The state thing.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be that necessarily. I guess it would be like the text if you have a text, because that's what we have back in here. Actually, it would be in here. Is it like this native text, right? And then we're just passing this slot inside of that, right? So the actual data doesn't get passed through this. Or does it? Good question. So let's ask. Because it's not. It's in the It's on the other side.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense to me, that the props are like this separate struct, and then there's something else that's kind of referencing, or like storing and referencing the state.
Yep.
Yeah.
The count lives in PHP memory as a regular PHP variable. The 108-byte node is a rendering snapshot and describes layout style structure, not the state. So we could ask like, give me some ideas for a global state management, or explain if we even need that since we are running Laravel PHP. I did spend some time as well, so talking like how Octane works and how what we're doing is very similar to Octane, and how we could almost replicate some of it, but we actually don't need to, because Octane uses like Swool or Roadrunner drivers under the hood, where we have this this shared memory that we don't have to even do any of that stuff. We could make like our own driver, but we don't need that. What they have that we could kind of use is this container. What they do is, like, when a request comes in, it whatchamacalls it clones the container over, and then every time like the request cycle is done, it clears out certain things.
Yeah.
It's like a 200 line PHP class that it manages all that.
Yeah.
But we don't have to even worry about session, request data, not request data, like auth user. Like, there's so many things that are, it's handled. Those servers are
handled because it's a web
you don't want to
service,
leak data to other users, but this is one user, right? So we don't have to worry about a lot. It's really two things, and I've already implemented that. So during our request cycle on this, I'm just clearing out those two things. And it was like, I can't remember what they were, but very easy little things. You mostly don't need one. PHP already is your state store, right? Think about what you have. Persistent PHP runtime. You built that. Boot once, dispatch many. PHP holds all variable services, cache, and memory. Every user interaction, Kotlin event buffer, PHP handles it. PHP re-renders a tree, publishes a flat buffer, Kotlin draws it. Kotlin is a dumb render layer. It reads 108-byte nodes and draws pixels. This is basically Livewire's model taken to the metal. Server holds state, client is thin, except your server is on device and your wire is shared memory instead of HTTP. What Laravel already gives you, service container, it's regular class properties, cache, session, events, listeners, all these things. So a component doing this count plus plus and a button handler already works. PHP re-renders the new one. And I'll ask it about it, like if it's like nested down 5 layers component without having to pass that through each component, right? Where you would actually feel the pain, this may be where it's going. Cross-component reactivity. Component A, changes something. Component B needs to know. In Livewire, this is dispatch and on. You need something equivalent. Right, we can do that though. That's pretty easy.
Exactly.
It's an event bus. It's not global state. Text input latency. Every keystroke goes through the event buffer PHP. Re-render, flat buffer, Kotlin is a full round trip through shared memory. Convar, wake. You probably want Kotlin to hold local ephemeral state for active. So it's almost like that wire model.live, like you know, like that kind of stuff.
Wait for me to jump out of the field before you update the state. That's like,
or when you take an action instead of going, but you're not really, this is so low latency.
I know.
You know
it's not even going to be necessary.
Navigation, route state, which screen is showing, backstack, transition direction. This could live in PHP. Your native router already does this, but Kotlin needs to know it too for animations. Optimistic, that's an interesting point actually. Optimistic UI, user taps a button. You want instant visual feedback before PHP finishes processing. This requires Kotlin side temporary state. My take, don't build a state management system. You'll end up fighting state synchronization bugs between two sources of truth. Instead, PHP is the single source of truth. It already is. Kotlin holds only ephemeral cosmetic state. Active text input, scroll position, animation, progress, compose already manages these. Add an event bus in PHP for cross-component communication. Emit listen pattern like Livewire's dispatch. Text fields are the one place you'll want Kotlin local state, buffer keystrokes locally, just that that buffing, debuff, or whatever it's called. Buffer keystrokes locally, debounce, that's what I was thinking of, or flush on blur. The 108 byte flat buffer architecture already implies this design. You're not syncing state. You're publishing render frames. PHP decides what to draw. Kotlin draws it. Keep it that way.
Yep. I actually, having gone through that, I agree with it, because it seems somewhat counterintuitive on the surface to not have some kind of state management on the UI, like the native side. But essentially what it's saying is that it's just so accessible with it all happening in PHP, just keep it in PHP. And so the only real thing that we're lacking is this kind of it's not really that central store of like global state, because again, as you say, that could be session, it could be a cache, it could be in the database, whatever. It's the events to pass stuff from one component to another on the PHP side. Like when something happens in counter 1, counter 2 can react to that. And that reactivity doesn't need to happen on the native side because it's so fast. It can happen on the PHP side, but right now we probably don't have a way to indicate that that's what should be happening. So that you would have to explicitly wire up those two components to speak to each other, where we want like a very declarative thing for the developer to just go, I want this to react to that, you know? That's going to be I do feel like that's actually going to be nicer, like the Livewire thing, where you just do say, thing happened, broadcast that across the system, you know, essentially, and then you've got listeners, some, you know, registered somewhere that just go, oh yeah, that happened. This is what I do.
Which is another thing. So like right now, our plugins, they work, except there's no, we're not listening. We have to update the way that we're dispatching from native plugins. We want to, in addition to, I want the user doesn't have to change anything for any plugins at all to use it for native. But right now, what it does is it just injects some JavaScript into the web view. That's all that it's doing. So on native, we don't have the web view. There's nothing there listening for any of that stuff. So we just want to, in addition to that, like detect maybe if there is a web view, and then do that. And if not, then broadcast it in some other mechanism. There's got to be some other mechanism that's telling, and it's probably built into Kotlin. I'm sure it's built into Kotlin. Actually, it's already on native side. It's going to be a lot faster, first of all. It'll be literally instant. You won't see a difference because it is on the device. It's on native. It's all inside of the native side. You're just listening for it inside of PHP, but it should be very similar. We probably could get away with doing like an on native, function.
Yeah, it can probably use the same one, and just like, it's how you're doing the event broadcasting.
Yep.
And how like whatever data is going through that is serialized and deserialized, or, you know, parsed out so that it becomes the same as what people expect from the Livewire world. But that all feels doable. That's going to be cool, actually. Like that's just like a minor advancement on what we've got right now.
Yeah. There are so many things in this space that are going to be so fun. Creating like jobs. Oh, I haven't done this in a while. PA make job. Simon says job. Cool. So with the new Laravel stuff, we can do like all sorts of like Laravel 13 has all the support for like attributes on the class itself, but we could like say on mobile or whatever and specify or on what would that be, on Q mobile or whatever. I did have a really good conversation with Claude about this. Actually, let's just do it real quick because it's very interesting. This is good stuff. Unless you want to talk about something else, you don't even know what I'm going to talk about. So I'm just going to take you down this path.
Yeah, let's just do it. I mean, we can keep going. Like we're at an hour and a half, but I'm excited. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm ready. We can spin
I
up
don't know if
separate
you saw the
threads.
desk as well. No, anyway.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, I haven't seen any of the chat stuff going on. I probably should look.
No. Yeah, it's been commentary on the things that we've been talking about, and I think people are getting it. Generally, I'm going to say from the sparse comments around it. I'm trying to pick out if the chat will just stop for a moment.
This is cool. So
there is an explicit question about, is there any pre-warming used? And then I think that question, they realized, you're talking about that right now.
PHP is persistent in this case. Yeah. And that's the major win for the WebView stuff that'll work backwards as well. The 150 milliseconds to 15 milliseconds, because it's pre-warmed. PHP is up and running, Laravel's booted, and we're just putting it to sleep in between requests.
Yeah. And the thing there that's kind of different to Octane, because this is all in the context of talking about Octane as well, some of that chatter, is that Octane is about processes and keeping processes booted in a certain state. And it connects to whatever web server process management thing is going on in the background. So we don't have those luxuries, let's say, because we're not, we're in a single application. We don't have the ability to spin up, certainly not on iOS anyway, separate processes. But what we can do is spin up separate threads. And whilst PHP, you're getting into it already. So
that's it, baby. Yeah.
It's all connected. Take us through what this is talking about.
So it's partially wrong on some of this stuff, and I'll explain. So it's talking about there's different PHP threads, and hopefully I have an understanding of these threads, but they're basically other instances of PHP. And there's something here that I forgot about that we can talk about too. And it may even be more relevant on your side of things. But instead of you could spin up another sort of instance of PHP, and have it do some background work. So it's not blocking, we have one thread. So if I click a button that makes a sleep for 10 seconds, and then I have another button on the same UI that is increasing the counter, if that's sleeping and I go to hit plus on the other button, you're not going to see it. It's not going to actually even do anything. You could queue that work so that when it comes back from that sleep, that it will do it. But that's how threads are kind of how they work or don't work. That's pros and cons of them. So you can spin up other threads and say, all right, when I do that sleep, that's going to do it on another process, or whatever that work might be. Sleep is kind of irrelevant or redundant or stupid. Make an HTTP request to something, and when you have data, come back and let me know, and I'll react to that. In the meantime, you're not slowing down the UI, right? So we're single threaded right now for the UI. Spinning up multiple threads will allow us to do whatever work. And the thing is, at boot, we can spin up 2 worker threads that will do some of this additional work that's just ready and waiting, just like we're doing right now with persistent PHP. They're booted, they're warm, they're ready to process, but they're completely sleeping until they're being called upon. So it's not going to use any memory until it's actually being used, until you actually call into it, which is very nice. The other thing, though, because we're embedding PHP, you can actually spin up separate processes of PHP, and I've looked into this too, which might be more performant and better for the device itself because it's self-managed. You'd have to pass any kind of state through a database. So if you're dispatching a job now with Laravel and you're using the database driver, which we can enforce, you're writing all the context of that job, what needs to go into that processing is all there in the database. That's how Laravel already works anyway. So you can just do that as well. There's another mechanism that we've got available to us. But in addition to that, you can do, and we'll read through this in a second, you can just use Kotlin coroutines or native threads, and that's what we're going to talk about. So pushing some of that work into native threads that are already available to us that we can boot PHP inside of as well. So it's not like a separate thing to manage memory. It also wouldn't be looked at by the device. Like PHP, if we take up too much memory, if we have multiple of these going on, it can kill the application if you start being a memory hog, where it's going to optimize for native threads out of the box. We don't have to worry about that so much. So if we can push some of that work into that, you get better performance, and you're not going to have to worry about memory utilization or having to manage the memory for those things. We just need something consistent like the database driver for Laravel, which is perfect. It's already built in to handle, like, all right, go do this job. All right, tell me what the job is. Like, it's got to know what that is, and it can't go through memory. It's got to be someplace persisted. So that's all built in. So let's read through this unless you have questions on that.
I'm not seeing any questions specifically about that.
Okay.
I don't have any questions about it. I mean, I do have other comments around this, but we can go through it first.
So PHP threads, you already have a persistent PHP runtime. You could spin up additional PHP threads and processes for background work, queue jobs, API calls, data processing, etc. This is Laravel's world: jobs, queues, scheduled tasks, etc. But every PHP thread means another full PHP interpreter instance in memory. So on a mobile device with 3 to 4 gigs of RAM, that can be expensive, and that's its argument. And you could run out of memory for some things. And PHP threads can't touch native APIs, no camera, no sensors. This is where it's wrong, because we do have the ability with our plugin system and the God method and all that stuff. We actually do have access to this stuff.
The thing that you shouldn't do is try and mess with the UI from multiple threads, because you will get into a world of pain.
Correct.
You should just have one UI thread. Really.
You just whenever. Well, and that can be solved with everything. If we push this stuff to native stuff, then it's not on the UI thread by default. You're just signaling back to the UI to respond, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like that dispatch on, event, pub subs kind of stuff. Like, just go do the work and then let me know when you're done. I will respond. UI responds. One single source of responsibility kind of thing. Yeah. So option 2, Kotlin coroutines native threads. This is where it gets interesting. Kotlin coroutines are not threads. They're lightweight, suspendable functions that get dispatched, and the fibers comes into all of this as well. That gets dispatched onto a thread pool. When you write view model scope launch blah 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 with context, what actually happens? Launch creates a coroutine, just an object in the heap, around 100 bytes. Dispatchers.io is a thread pool, 64 threads by default, managed by the Kotlin runtime, so we don't have to worry about that. Heavy work runs on one of those pooled OS threads with context main, hops back to the main UI thread to touch compose state. The coroutine suspends and resumes without blocking any thread while waiting. It's like everything that I think we want actually to happen, and we get it for free because we're on the device. You could spin up thousands of coroutines. They multiplex onto a small number of real threads. The Kotlin runtime handles all the scheduling. The interesting part is bridging the two. Right now, your data flow is PHP, state and logic, flat buffer, Kotlin render, Kotlin events, event buffer, PHP handle. What if Kotlin coroutines could do a background work and push results back into PHP? The event buffer already flows Kotlin, PHP. You just expand its vocabulary. So you'd have native PHP background function. I would do a dispatch a job or something like that. Maybe it calls this under the hood. Declare the intent. Kotlin coroutine picks it up from the event command buffer, runs on dispatchers.io, does all the stuff inside of native, writes the result back into the event buffer. PHP receives the results and it re-renders. Concretely, think about what each side is good at. The task, an HTTP API call. PHP thread works, but it's heavy. Using something like OKHTTP, which is a library for Kotlin, it's async native. Kotlin connection pooling, HTTP2, way better. Imagery size, it's slow in PHP. Native bitmap APIs are hardware accelerated. Like, so people have come up to us and talked to us about like FFmpeg and like why GD I can't do. You don't really want to do that work in PHP when you're on the device that has, it's optimized for all that stuff. You can push that work to it. And so we got to have differently named like queues. So you can have like a networking queue, like we just call it that, but it's really like delegating on the device to a specific implementation for Android or for iOS. Same thing for any of this stuff. And we can expose some of that stuff. One of the examples I've used, and we'll look through this still, but is like if I dispatch on mobile while charging, on Wi-Fi, when memory is low, when, you know, after midnight, like you can get into all the stuff that the device has to offer and dispatch in certain parameters. And I've actually have a proof of concept for all that stuff.
Cool.
A SQLite query works in PHP. Room SQLite Android API is already optimized. I think that this would actually stay in PHP. I don't see any benefit here, but you could technically do like there's MySQL on the device, and you could give access directly to that. But it's the same thing; it's on-device database. So I'm not sure that there's any reason to switch what we're doing there. JSON parsing is fine. ML inference, you can't do it, but I've done this. I've built plugins for all this stuff, so you can do T-Flight, TersorFlow Lite, Media Pipe. It's only available natively. Bluetooth, yeah, these are all like all these things we've already solved. All this stuff actually. This is all done with plugins right now. Push notifications, it's already done.
Yeah. So the point is like moving some of that work into essentially background threads rather than right now. What we have is you press a button, it's making a request. PHP handles that request, and in that request handling, it's calling back into the native side and going do some work. And then we have done it in an asynchronous way where what we do is we let PHP finish, and then when the native work is finished, it will send an event back over to PHP essentially. And then you have to handle the event. So the developer is writing the event handling code, and
100%.
it doesn't, that it's not really like true async, but the principle of that is fully how all of this would work across multiple threads as well. You're essentially passing messages when things happen, and not just like sitting there waiting for something to finish. And so in theory, you probably actually only need, like, by default, 2 or 3 threads, like the UI thread, a generic background thread, and maybe like a queue worker or like a persistent scheduler style thing. And then if somebody wanted to get really fancy and start spinning up multiple threads, we could allow that. But I think we'd need to be quite constrained on what devs could do there because of the limitations of the different platforms and like how many threads they're going to allow. I don't know about this coroutines versus threads thing, because I think that's going to come down to like, well, I say I don't know about it because what I've looked at on iOS is threads are the way. You know, it's like that's the one true way, as far as I understand it, to do all of this kind of stuff. They are a little bit heavy-handed, but once you've got them spun up, you only need one to start with, so you don't need to wait for multiple ones to spin up. You can spin others up after the fact, but once you've got them spun up, and as we said, they're sort of pre-warmed with PHP in the state that we want it to be in, then they should all be really responsive. Like there's not going to be significant delays in things once that's in the right shape, and it's not going to take long to get into that shape.
The other thing that we have available to us that you cannot do with React Native with Hermes, because it's single threaded UI thread, we can actually right now, like any UI state change. I use state loosely, but any UI change, any of those the 108 byte node tree, the UI tree, any of those changes are concurrent. They will queue if there are multiple coming in simultaneously. What we can actually do is have 2 or more PHP UI threads handling that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be possible. I think they're going to run into a lot of potential problems with that though, where people need to be very careful about what they're doing, because you'll have two threads basically trying to access the same point in memory at the same time, and without lots of protection, you'll just get like, that memory is not where it used to be, where I think it should be, or it's a different size than it was a moment ago, and things just crash left, right, and center. I would be inclined to like baby steps the whole thing and just be like, okay, we've got one UI thread. This is how that works. Again, the multi-threaded world is the place where I think actually is something like a native side state manager actually will shine, because I know you're gonna hate me for saying it again, but I think that if you try and delegate that to PHP, it means that you've got to have some way for all of the PHP threads to stay up to date with what the current state is, and you don't.
They do. Inherently, they do, because they're all writing to the same shared memory in the same process.
Yeah, but then it's not one UI thread. That's the problem. So, okay, we'll have to put that through its paces, because
all right,
that feels like it's.
I'm just saying, in theory,
disaster.
that you can do that. You can, instead of like queuing these interactions, which, like in practice, if you're navigating from one page to another, you're just rewriting the whole UI tree. It's one interaction. It's not a big deal. But those the balls bouncing all over the place, right? Like that's a ton of UI interaction that you can have multiple threads working. They're multiple workers basically on the same stuff. So that's where that kind of stuff would come into play. And you can toggle those. Like you could say, oh, spin up another thread. And what kind of thread? PHP UI thread or background networking, whatever it is. And they can get very smart with what they have capabilities of. They can be very memory optimized, is what I should say.
Yeah.
This is one thing that and it's funny how it even says this, how it touches every layer of the stack, because that's exactly it's a very simple thing, but it goes through everything, right? So this is in a dream world. I have a native PHP app. I set a 30-second timer, and I specifically wanted something sub-minute, because every minute is a different sort of cron mental in my head. Seconds are different than minutes. Close the app, completely close it. Don't background it. Close the app. See the timer countdown in my notification drawer, something equivalent in iOS. When the alarm goes off, I have a custom sound for my app that I can click, and then I can click the notification, open up the app to a specific URL. How can we do that? And this is where it gets really cool. So I started asking these questions the other day, and I already knew the answer. The whole thing about native PHP is to be the layer that is just translating what you are wanting to do into native. And I think if you start thinking about things like that, you can see how we can very easily make claims like, absolutely, we can be a video game, have a video game engine, because it can be a native or like Lua or whatever it is, Godot. There's like these gaming engines that you can interact with. We'll get to the video game stuff, but let's start here. The problem, PHP dies when the app goes to the background. The flat buffer, the shared memory region, the persistent runtime, all gone. You can't run a PHP sleep and expect it to fire. So the timer cannot live in PHP. It has to be native OS. Android, 3 pieces. There's an alarm manager. It's not a coroutine. It's not a thread. You hand the OS a timestamp, and it wakes your code at that time, even if your app is dead. Here's some code for that. We don't need that. The OS itself holds the timer. App can be killed entirely. It doesn't matter. Separate, disjointed, different things. Ongoing notification with a countdown. It's a foreground service. We already actually have the ability to do this with plugins. To show a live countdown in the notification drawer, you just need a foreground service with a chronometer or manual updates. We don't have to look at the code for that, but there it is. You can set icons and whatever. And then there's like some sort of callback in this, I'm sure. Set chronometer countdown true, set when. The system itself renders the countdown. No polling, no coroutine ticking every second. The notification drawer counts down natively. It's all native. Then a broadcast receiver. When the alarm fires, right? Here we go. This is your callback. On receive, you're just passing some stuff, and you have a sound URL. You can pull it right from your package. So it's right inside of your package. we just wrap the way to do this inside of a Laravel application. So you get the URL for that sound, builds the done notification. So there's a tap intent on the notification. And then you just set that notification. And so that's going to, somewhere in here, it's going to tell you, yeah, deep link handling. So you're just in main activity, we already have support for deep linking. So you're just setting the link from this notification into your application. So it's a lot of different steps leading up to it. And it's a very like, it all happens within a moment, but this is all like proven ways to do everything. You click the notification, PHP boots up, the native router navigates to the timer finish, renders the timer done screen. iOS, same concept, different APIs. You have the alarm manager, foreground service. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just different stuff, but it's all the same thing. It all does it on native. The iOS live activity is actually better than Android's chronometer notification. You get a real-time countdown on the lock screen, dynamic island without a foregrounding service. What the PHP side looks like, and it's probably going to guess this wrong, but from the developer's perspective, this should feel like Laravel. Start timer. This end time is now at 30 seconds. Native PHP timer function. Yeah, it could be something similar to that. Notification, a sound when you're on tap, passing a route that you want to navigate to. That's it, right? Like you can be very, very Laravel friendly for all of these things. But here's the thing, that closure can't actually execute in PHP because PHP won't be live. So the API is really just ascribing the timer to the native layer. It's a command. It's not a callback. What actually gets written into the shared memory bridge call is the timer.schedule, duration, notification, alarm, deep link. Kotlin receives this through the bridge function registry, sets up the alarm manager. You guys get it. The pieces you need to build are all of these things, but totally, totally doable. In fact, you can just like on boot register anything in your like scheduler in your scheduler can just bind into this. There does have to be a translation layer because like the cron jobs themselves, like the actual like star one or whatever it is, those don't actually translate for, at least for Android. You just need something to interpret that, but Claude's pretty good at working all that stuff out. So all that's doable.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. I mean, I treat that in my head as very different from like background activity.
Yep.
Or
Yeah,
we'll call
sure.
it asynchronous activity whilst the app is open, like where
Correct.
you were saying, you know, I want to be able to tap one button and it's going and it's doing something, and then I tap another button and it's still able to like do stuff. It's not been blocked because it's waiting for the other thing to finish. So yeah, there's a whole, you know, just to like give parallels to the way that we do that at the moment on the web. It's like we get a lot of that somewhat for free because we're already in the browser on the front end where it's thinking about doing those things. And we, you know, as back-end developers, let's say, as Laravel developers, we don't necessarily think about all of that too much. But you think what's really happening when the user's interacting with multiple elements of the UI at the same time. You know, this is why JavaScript is quite asynchronous, and in some respects, arguably JavaScript could be seen as better for this thing because it's been built that way. But that is because it's a front-end language, you know, and this is UI stuff. It's asynchronous by default. You know, it's kind of everything that you can do in JavaScript can just be passed off to essentially another thread and live on its own. And that's where all of the callback hell came from, and you know, promises and all of that as like different layers of wrapping that up to make it more developer friendly. We're going to end up with something quite like that in PHP that's going to be let's say not true PHP async, but where PHP is just being used as a glue over the top of a well-worn path of asynchronous activity in another ecosystem, you know, in another language like Swift or Kotlin.
Which, if done properly, is actually better because you're not leaning in. You're leaning to native device asynchronization or whatever that is, versus trying to replicate that in some other language.
Yeah, I also just think like PHP could get there. in time. I think one of the things that's become very apparent to me over the years is that PHP actually does move quite slowly, unfortunately.
Well, that is probably going to change soon because,
Why is
and it
that?
may take some time to catch up, but PHP Foundation, they just, what is a new, not president, but spokesperson, or what is she?
Like a
Elizabeth,
chairperson or whatever.
yeah, head of PHP Foundation, just changed hands.
Mhm.
And from what I've heard through the grapevine, she's very sort of progressive. And
Cool. That's good.
some people I've talked to are like, I've waited months to hear back from previous, where it's within an hour I'm getting, replies to emails and stuff like that. So we'll see. Time will
Cool.
tell. But that's my understanding of PHP moving forward. They're very wanting to put a new shine, I think, on PHP and address more people with it. So, and some of these things like async PHP, it's been talked about for a while, and I think there's proofs of concept for it now that still
Yeah.
probably have to be ironed out. But I think also with everyone using AI, that's going to be a more quickly solved issue.
Well, that's interesting as well, because I think that opens up the door to a couple of items. One, and not that we're here to talk about PHP language ecosystem, but the foundation is one thing, but they don't make changes to the language. They employ people who can, but those
Right.
changes still have to go through the process. They're not like outside of the sort of democratic process for getting changes into the language, which means as much, even if they want to go really fast, and as much as they might be part of the core Laravel team, people with voting rights and whatever, that doesn't mean stuff's going to happen any quicker, because it still has to go through RFCs. Those still
Yep.
have to go through a vote. Sometimes
Sure.
they'll not get passed, and then this really good feature that everybody wants, that looks really well implemented and actually could work, just doesn't make it into the language because for whatever reasons, it just doesn't get voted in. And it's like, ugh, that's rough. And that's kind of where it's been, in the past. I was listening to a talk at PHP UK by Sarah, can't remember her surname, who's part of the PHP Foundation. She was basically saying, like, the history of this is like when Facebook came up with Hack, was because PHP is moving too slow. Not like
They
the
forced it.
language is slow, but like
No.
we can't wait for you to catch up to where we need
Yeah.
this to be so that our business can like save hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on compute, whatever. And that's the thing that I think we need to not repeat. The other thing that brings up, as you kind of touched on, is in the world of AI now, it seems like it's going to be very easy for people to produce this stuff. And there was actually a PR that was raised the other day, that looks like a very good. It was about what's the one, generics.
Oh,
Somebody
yeah.
done a generics implementation, and it just
Yeah.
like, on the surface, great. So, somebody's done a ton of work, but then digging into it, it was like becoming clearer that, oh, this is an AI, bot that's basically been tasked with this, and somebody's made it push that up to the PHP source. And so now, like, all of the people who care are like heavily scrutinizing it and thinking like, this doesn't save us any time because somebody's got to run through all of this and make sure there's no vulnerabilities and blah blah blah. It's just like PHP
But
as
it
a
proves that it can
language
be
is gonna
done.
like, that's
And
true.
that's my argument. Some like that's kind of how I go about working on things also. Is like I don't need to learn as I'm going along if it doesn't even work. So let me see something working, and then it's like, all right, now
Yeah.
explain how is this kind of functioning. And I think that you don't just merge these things, right? It just opens the door to like
Absolutely.
my own understanding and what's possible
Yes.
and how things could work. And then you can even
Absolutely.
optimize on top of that, right? So
Yeah. I think that the greatest benefit that AI can bring to PHP, certainly in the very short term, is that more people can get to grips with like how to actually write core PHP C code, and just to understand the code base. Because
yep.
the AI can help you with all of that, and it's actually very good at it. So and then you can go and build the thing that you want and propose it and wait for the process and all of that stuff. So kind of it's going to be an interesting time for the language. I do think it will get to the place where it can do all of this stuff that we're trying to do with it. We have I mean, in a sense, we've already forked it by compiling our own versions that are compiled for the platforms. But we're not straying. Our goal is not to stray too far away from the core.
We're not changing inner workings of PHP
exactly.
at all, right?
So we have to then work around its limitations and just tap into the native stuff as much as possible. Where
because we're not. Our goal is not to change the way that people are developing inherently inside of like a Laravel application kind of thing, except for some different APIs. But yeah, we're not changing core. We're just using some of the modifications that are available to us.
Yeah.
Let's read through this. Say I'm offline and I'm trying to interact with an API to sync data. I close the application completely while offline. Can the device notify my app when it comes back online to sync the data without any user interaction with the apps? One of the most requested things we've had for a long time. Yes, and we knew this. It's just a matter of getting it in. Both platforms have OS level primitives for exactly this. On Android, it's called Work Manager with constraints. This is the correct tool. It's not a service or an alarm. It's not a coroutine. Work Manager survives app death, device reboot, and the OS will run your code when constraints are met. So you set constraints, like set required network type to connected, set back off criteria, back off policy exponential, minimum back off milliseconds, timeout unit, blah, blah, blah. And queue the unique work, data sync, whatever this is. That's it. App dies, phone goes in a drawer for 3 days, comes back online at 2 a.m. Android wakes your data sync worker and runs it. No user interaction. The worker itself, class, context, parameters, got some parameters, do work. So it's got some payload, input data, get string payload.
Looks like a job.
And then it does some stuff. Yeah, it's a job.
Yeah.
And it probably will tell us like how you wrap that in the Laravel way. Key things about Work Manager: survives app kill and device reboot. The OS batches work intelligently. doze mode, battery optimization, exponential back off on failure, retries automatically. Can chain worker. It's just like a worker. It's just like a job. Can chain workers, sync A, then sync B. So it's like even batching, or was that bus queue busing, then notify. Works on API 14 plus. So we are now on
job batch, really.
Batch. Yeah. Yep. What did I say? Bus. Yeah. Batch. API 14. So going backward on version 3.1, NativePHP is going back to version 28. So we're definitely inside of that.
Cool.
On iOS, it's a BG task scheduler. So same sort of thing. It's just on iOS. It's a little bit different.
Yep.
BG processing task request. Anyway, this is what we would implement, but we would have the same wrapper exposed to the native PHP developer. So you would just say, schedule this thing to go do whatever. And then iOS is less predictable about when it runs your task. It uses machine learning to learn when the user typically opens your app and schedules work around that. That's interesting. But requires network connectivity equals true, guarantees it won't fire without a network. For more immediate connectivity response, iOS also has NW path monitor. Monitor.path update handler. Network is back, trigger async. So when that is satisfied, network is back, trigger the sync. But this only works while the app is in the background state, not after full termination. BG task scheduler is the real answer for surviving app death. Cool to know. The hard part, what data to sync. Here's where it gets interesting. I love when it says that. PHP is dead. Don't say that ever. The sync worker can't call Eloquent. So the pending data needs to be persisted before the app closes. The sync worker can't call Eloquent. So the pending data needs to be persisted before the app closes. The flow. User does stuff offline. PHP writes data normally, SQLite, files, whatever. User hits sync or auto sync triggers, but no network. PHP calls bridge, sync manager in queue, payload endpoint method. Kotlin receives it, persists to its own store, room database, shared preferences, file, and queues work manager job with network constraint. User kills the app completely. Hours later, phone connects to Wi-Fi. OS wakes the data sync worker. Worker reads the persisted payload from room, posts to API. On success, clears any pending data, optionally shows notification. On failure, result retried. The OS will just try again later. Next time the user opens the app, PHP boots, can check sync status via bridge call, what you'd need to build, bridge functions. So it's getting into like where it thinks it knows what it's talking about, but it doesn't. Sync manager and queue, cancel. Some of that stuff is, yeah, build our own, God method sort of functions around this stuff. On the Android side, data sync worker, the actual coroutine worker, the room table for pending sync items, survives app death, notification channel for sync complete. So yeah, anyway, you'd have something like this, and we would just probably just dispatch a job instead of this, but native PHP sync, endpoint, the method, the payload, on complete. Because I don't think this is like specifically for APIs. That's the example I gave it, but it's really like any kind of, I guess it would be for this. Yeah, either way, it could be any job, I think, that you just do stuff with. Again, this declarative PHP is saying, here's the data, here's where it goes, handle it. Kotlin takes ownership from there. It's the same thing, just offloading all the stuff to native in a very Laravel wrappery sort of way.
It's hard to know some of that. Like, should we reuse Laravel primitives like dispatch, jobs and that kind of thing to do these things, or should we use something else? And like our own custom class that represents what's actually happening. And I think I don't know, but I feel like we start with the primitive that's kind of close to what the platform is capable of, because you think about, again, where a lot of those APIs have come from in Laravel is the web world, and the fact that it's been tried and tested in this very, I mean, I know they're all slightly different, but essentially they're trying to do the same kind of thing. You got a Redis or a Kafka or SQS, and they're all, they've all got their quirks, and we, some have got more advantages than others, whatever. But there's a commonality between them all that Laravel can work with and take advantage of the specific unique features of one or another, depending on which driver you're using. And I think that's like what will happen is that we'll end up building essentially the driver for these things, and then we can build in the integration with the relevant layer, where we just go, oh well, this actually is just a job, a queue driver or something like that.
Could be, hate to say it, could make plugins for these things and make them opt-inable.
Yeah, in many ways it might start that way, because somebody might try and tackle the problem before we do, which I'm also down for. But some of it's going to feel like it needs to be in the core. Like this is stuff that almost every app could use at any point, and it's not going to be permissions related stuff necessarily. Although actually maybe on iOS some of the background things are. That is the other angle around some of those things as well, on mobile especially, that you need explicit permissions declared in the app, saying that you're on iOS anyway, saying that you're going to do some of this background activity.
Which kind of does put it warranting a plugin.
Exactly.
Something separate.
It becomes easier then. Yeah, interesting stuff. This is all really, really fun to think about. I feel like we're not far away from any of it.
Nope.
But and quite a few people have been asking about background things in the different contexts of like, can I do multiple things at once in the foreground, or when the app goes to sleep, or when it gets quit? And just I think the same answer applies as we're saying to everything. Yes, you can do all of that stuff. And we don't have to wait for PHP as a language to figure out how to do those things, because the platform does it and PHP is just the glue.
I want to answer a couple of these questions that I find interesting.
Yeah.
Can I create custom, like my own native PHP components, like custom blade components? Yes. So the way that I've been building this out so far is as a plugin. So technically, it's a different sort of plugin. It's a UI plugin. In fact, the way that I've got things right now is if you do like PHP Artisan native plugin create, it's going to ask you if you want a system level type of plugin or a UI plugin to build out your own UI components. The thing is with like Material 3 Compose, like that's what that that one demonstration app is of like the Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, it's Nation. But it's like you can do pretty much any UI you can think of with these components anyway. So it's like what other types of components, but you can just build out your own and use them, no problem for that. Not sure if I've used case for the app is killed. My bad, that's how I adapted. Parson review, blah, blah, blah. All right, so all that you guys doing here with PHP, native PHP, hasn't been done at all by anyone in any language. That is correct. Parts of it are familiar or similar to some other things, but like persistent PHP, that's not anything new, like Octane and stuff like that. But writing to the flat buffer area, the UI tree, parts of that were borrowed from like JSI Hermes from React Native, but it's not been done this way through the shared memory location kind of stuff. Not exactly this way. It's similar, but not exactly the same. The difference is like JavaScript has to have, like, it's basically a VM that boots up that shares memory between C++ and JavaScript. So you can write C++ in JavaScript, you can write JavaScript on the C++ side, and they're just pointing to the same place. We can technically do that stuff too. I could have a native PHP underscore Kotlin and pass in like Kotlin code on my PHP side and write Kotlin code. I can trigger all that stuff right from there if I wanted to. But the way that we're doing it is because PHP is foundationally a C language. We're able to carve out that shared memory space without having to boot up some external virtual machine or anything like that. We're just already talking natively, which is why I'm so opinionated, profound in my, like, there's the way that performance is, like, you can do benchmark tests and you can do that kind of stuff. I can also profile the app, and I've been doing that with native stuff, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful how little latency memory, and I'll pull it up here in a second if you want to see. But why I'm so like opinionated, like this actually is a better way of doing things. There are fewer jumps, and that's what in benchmarking things you really talk about. How many hops do you have to go through for a round trip? So from the user pressing the a button or whatever to the UI updating, what has to happen? How many steps does that have to go through? And we are 2 steps fewer than JSI Hermes with PHP, and each of those steps are the same or a little bit faster than JSI. So you multiply like how many steps do you go through times how long is the average step, basically how long is on average, how long are you taking per step, and that gives you your performance calculation stuff. And we just have fewer steps to go through. So people that are thinking about PHP in the old traditional way are going to be floored. We have a battle ahead of us for sure, of like showing people, explaining to them why and how, because it's so different than what they're thinking PHP, the way that it works, especially for something like mobile. And then we do want to go and fight outside of the Laravel PHP community in JavaScript land, go to mobile world conferences and stuff like that to show people this is a new way, completely new way to think about how to do some of these things. And it's very, very revolutionary. We're finding that out more ourselves, and we're trying to shout from, I didn't have a mountain to scream from. I just had a news anchor, a channel, and a microphone.
Just had
So exactly, skipping the VM. Yeah. Which is that's not the only thing. In fact, let's ask. I'll pull it up while you talk. I will type.
It's funny that you say about it being a mountain. Like the, I likened it to climbing a mountain at one point. You know, just like the challenge of actually building this stuff is like climbing a mountain. Not that I've ever climbed a mountain, but I can, you know, it's that you have to do it a bit at a time. You can't really fathom the top of the thing. Like that's where I want to get to. I don't know what it's going to take to get there. I don't know what I'm going to face along the way, but you kind of just go for it. It is different, but the thing is that you don't need to be on the top of the mountain to shout about it. And what I realized was I hadn't even got to like the base camp, if you want to keep with the analogy. And I started shouting about it, and it was like, well, look, that guy's already like, you know, 3 inches up the mountain. So that's cool. Good progress, dude. Carry on. And that encouragement is all you need sometimes. It's like, so whatever mountain you're climbing, don't be afraid to turn around and shout, hey guys, look how far I've come, because that might give other people the sense of like, oh yes, they're achieving something, they're like moving, and then they'll feel like motivated to actually encourage you to carry on. Sometimes that's even when there's like a precarious rock and impending doom, but you know, like what's their what's their motivation? Most of the time I think it's certainly within the Laravel community, I'll say it's a positive thing. You know, it's like people actually, we're not special. You know, like there was not nobody was thinking of this, because I've had so many people come to me and say, like, I've dreamed of being able to run PHP on my phone or whatever. And I was like, well, I've said to them, when I was researching all of this stuff, there are implementations of this out there. People haven't, you know, people have run PHP on phones before. The difference is, I think, just the way that they've approached it is like they've tried to wrap it in a web server and just keep it very traditional. And then when they've gone to think about, oh, maybe they've just gone with the view of like, well, the getting it running on the device is the enough part, and I'm going to stop there. You know, like the sort of reach base camp and then go, that's enough for me. I'm going to go back down. I'll say that I climbed the mountain, and that's all people need to know, is that you know, I took some pictures at the lowest kind of entry point, which is fine. But I think the difference is not sort of like whether somebody's capable or whether they have that imagination for this stuff. It's what are you trying to achieve? And for me, the goal was always like, I actually just want my application to be written in PHP and to deploy that to the phone. You know, not like I want to go onto an app where I can write PHP code. That's not the goal. I don't want to go into an app and start typing PHP code into my phone, because frankly, coding on a phone is ridiculous and no one should ever do that. But if I can have the phone execute the code that I've written elsewhere, like you do with any other app, then no worries. Then you open the door to all sorts of possibility, which is what we've done. You shouldn't let me ramble like this, because I'm just going.
All right, shut up, dude. Let me read this thing. I got a bunch here. There you go. So talk to me about the whole flow that we have here, using PHP and C with JNI, et cetera, in comparison to React Native, JSI, Hermes architecture. Where do we lose? Where do we win? And how can we do better? So it just talks about the whole like infrastructure side by side. JavaScript, Hermes, JSI, C++, host objects, synchronous, zero copy. They have a fabric renderer for all the UI stuff, shadow tree. It's called the Yoga layout. Native views, UI kit, Android views. Native PHP mobile currently. PHP persistent runtime, C extension, writes to mmap shared memory, 108-byte flat nodes, mutex, and convar signaling. JNI reads the buffer, Kotlin expose renders directly. Where you win. I'd rather see where we lose first, but we'll just go with it. Compose is the real thing. React Native. Now we're not married to this, so this might not even be a real thing, but React Native renders to Android views, the old Android view system. They bridge into platform's legacy UI layer. We render to Compose, which is what Google is actively building Android's future on. No translation layer. Lazy column in your renderer is the same lazy column every Android app uses. React Native's equivalent of Flatlist is a JS component that manages a scroll view with recycling logic in JavaScript. Yours is the actual lazy column with Compose's built-in item recycling, prefetching, layout optimization. That's why your benchmark with thousands of items even works at all. Bulk tree publishing versus per property bridge calls. React Native's old architecture, the bridge serialized every prop change as JSON sent it across an async bridge, slow. The new architecture, Fabric and JSI, fixed this with synchronous C++ access, but updates still flow property by property through the shadow tree diffing. Your flat buffer publishes the entire tree at once as a single contiguous memory region, one memcopy equivalent, one convar signal. Kotlin reads it and diffs against the previous frame. The 108-byte fixed stride means the CPU prefetcher loves you. Linear memory scan, no pointer chasing. Laravel, it sounds soft, but it's huge. React Native gives you JavaScript. You give developers Laravel, Eloquent, routing, middleware, queues, validation, the entire ecosystem. A Laravel developer can build a mobile app without learning a new framework. The value proposition isn't the rendering engine, it's the developer experience.
Exactly.
You also have simpler architecture. React Native has JS thread, UI thread, background thread, Fabric render, Yoga layout engine, turbo modules, CodeGen, a custom JS engine, Hermes, and a C++ layer gluing it all together. It's a lot of moving parts. We have PHP writes a buffer, Kotlin reads it, events go back the other way. That's it. The simplicity is an advantage. Fewer things break, fewer things to debug, easier to reason about. Where we lose. Interaction latency, the big one. This is your main problem. When a user taps a button in React Native, touch JS handler runs less than a millisecond via JSI. Set state, Fabric diff, native view update. Total 1 to 3 frames, 16 to 48 milliseconds. In native PHP, touch, Kotlin writes event to buffer, convar signal, PHP wakes, PHP handler runs, PHP re-renders a tree, writes a flat buffer, convar signal.
Love butter.
Kotlin wakes, Kotlin parses the tree, compose recomposition. 3 to 6 frames, 48 to 96 milliseconds. That's why I wanted to test these things, because that's actually, we're doing, it's like 6 milliseconds actually, way faster. You have 2 convar round trips per interaction. Each one involves a mutex lock, a thread wake, and a context switch. That's 1 or 2 milliseconds per hop. That's not actually true. It's microseconds. But on low end hardware, it adds up. Maybe I'm doing it on very fast devices. It's 100 times.
But you've done it on the very slow crappy phone, and it's fine. So
PHP has to re-render the entire tree, even if one prop changed, which is faster than diffing, though. Arguably, I've gone through that. JSI gives React Native synchronous calls. JS calls a C++ function, gets the result back in the same expression. No thread hop, no serialization. Your architecture is always async.
Before you go into that next section, can I just, the thing that I think stands out is like React Native really is trying to give, it's coming from the world of a React developer, right? They're trying to give React developers, which feels like that's every developer, but the same sort of experience that they get from using React in a web view to use it to using React in as a composer of native UI and handling all of that. So they're going sort of the extra mile in some respects to make that feel more idiomatic to React developers.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Like, you're trying to make everything feel familiar and blah, blah, blah. We're coming at it from like, this is just a different world. So we don't really want to care too much about how you're used to doing things, because the fact is it's not going to be anything like that. The only way that we can make it like what you're used to is by using a web view, and that has limitations. But when we get into this world, the best kind of the best implementation that we've both come across that makes sense to us as Laravel developers is Livewire, because you're not really thinking about the state management and the the interaction across the wire and all of that kind of stuff, and how it all gets shredded down into JSON and pushed across the boundary. You just like, I write some PHP and I write some Blade and it just works. And that is the thing, like, if there was any similarity, it's probably that, as like we're sort of coming at it from the Livewire, whereas React Native is coming at it from React. But even that, it's like, it's very different to Livewire, right? It's fundamentally it might look similar, but what's going on under the hood is completely different. So I don't know what my point is really.
I can't tell if you're rambling or if this is good. I think it's good.
I think it's
get
good.
it. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't think you're rambling at all.
No, but I get the thing is that with that fresh perspective, it's not like we're locked into doing it the Livewire way either. It's not like we're seeing, oh, most Laravel developers are Livewire developers, and therefore we want something that's very Livewire-esque. It's that looks like a good template for what we're trying to do. Let's use that and see how it fits.
Correct.
And we're finding like, oh, that's really nice. And by extension, most Laravel developers are going to look at that and go, that looks like what, that looks like Blade. I've seen Livewire. I don't necessarily like it or whatever, but some people like that. I don't know why, but
that's native.
Then they go, anyway. I can use that. Yeah, exactly. And so we're not like we're leaning on some of that stuff, but we're not dependent upon that stuff.
We knew this months and months and months ago. We were talking about, if we ever do something native, it's not JavaScript. It's going to have to be PHP, and you'll have like a class for state and for functions and all that, and then you'll have some markup somehow that you're interacting with. I'm like, it's gonna be just like Livewire. Like, we realized that a while ago, and sure enough, that's kind of where we ended up. And it wasn't like you're saying. I think the big point you're trying to make is that we didn't intend for it to. We just knew that that was the sort of template, as you described, for where this was going to end up anyway, because it just makes sense. You have your markup, you have your PHP, and you communicate between the two, and that's what kind of Livewire looks like. So
and when you stop trying to think of it like, I want to make this work exactly like that, and just go, well, what can I do here? And we're going to have to take everybody on the journey, like, this is different now from doing stuff in the web. We've tried to make it very similar or close to what you already know, but here are the things that are different, and here's why they need to work this way. And I think for the most part, people will get that and just go, well, yeah, this is really familiar. I like it. Let's go, because of what it enables you to do, and not because of how it looks or how it feels. And I think that's fundamental. Like, a lot of people who don't like React because of what it looks like and how it feels. But if you were to think about it as like, well, what does it enable me to do? And you see like what the Laravel team was saying on Tuesday, like, a lot of them are leaning towards React now because the ecosystem is very big and blah, blah, blah. But
Jason Begg's famous quote, don't use React Native if you love fun. Don't use React if you like
React
fun. That's his official quote in our app. Don't like React, or don't use React if you like fun. Yep. Either way, that's opinions. Opinions are opinions. Actual, like, this stuff, I feel, is like, number one, it's a completely different ecosystem, developer experience, etc., to do things with native PHP. But I think for us, what we've always wanted and strive for and desire the most is to at least be able to compete in terms of performance so that we are considered. We're not going to take over JavaScript. We don't want to. We just want to be considered another option for enterprise when it comes to what do you want to build in. And the fact that we've got 15 years almost of Laravel ecosystem, tutorials, videos, whatever, packages, well-maintained packages, actually makes us a stronger, if we can at least compete in terms of performance, it makes it a stronger buy-in for real companies that want to move.
I can't find it now, but there was a tweet that Taylor posted yesterday or the day before. I don't think it was, he either commented on it or reposted, but it was somebody else's tweet. It was like a performance thing in rebuilding an application that was written in Node, rebuilding it in Laravel using Claude or something, you know, and it took a few hours to do, and the number of lines of code that they ended up with overall, and you know, whatever other metrics mattered to them, was like less or better, you know, than the Node version, which finger in the air type stuff. But I think I've said this before, and I think we're going to see this a lot more over the next few months, that people are going to be doing proper benchmarks of like how the LLMs perform, like how many tokens does it take, how much is this costing me, especially as they, you know, get rid of the subsidies, because that's going to have to come, otherwise these businesses aren't going to become profitable. So when those subsidies go away and the cost of tokens kind of goes up a bit, then people are going to be worrying more about like which project, you know, how much is it costing me to have this spew out billions of lines of code all the time. And then they're going to be worrying about which technologies are actually the ones that are more performative, like what's the ratio of like output, cost, and performance. And I think we're going to see, like, I'm going to call it, I think we're going to see PHP and Laravel especially sitting on the top, because it's going to, like, how many hits does it take to get it to work? One. You know, how much code does it actually write? Like, how many tokens does it use? Definitely not as many as some of the other stuff that's like trying to glue 100 different services together, because it's all baked in.
Built in.
So it just, like, there's some intuitive thing there that's like knocking around in the back of my head that's saying
time will tell.
PHP is going to get this like second wind or third wind or whatever you want to call it, because the LLMs are just going to be really good with it, and it's going to be provable, you know, that it's really good.
I say time will tell, but I also think that a project like ours is capable of holding a huge bright flashlight to PHP. Because now it's like, they're like, what are you talking about, mobile? You know what I mean? It's like,
I think it already is doing that. We just don't like hear that from people.
Just a matter of time. I want to go through a couple more of these if it's all right. So it's still telling us like where we're losing. So incremental updates. And I won't read through every word of this, but when count goes from 0 to 1, republish every node. React Native's Fabric render diffs the shadow tree. Your shadow buffer helps a little bit, but when anything changes, you send everything. It's actually not a bad thing. And there are ways that we can improve on this that I already know about. PHP runtime wait. Hermes compiles to bytecode, starts in over like 50 milliseconds, uses 2 to 5 megs baseline. PHP with Laravel, even with opcache and a persistent runtime, is fundamentally heavier. That's true. For now, the language runtime, the framework boot, the service container, Eloquence metadata, you're probably looking at 20 to 40 megs baseline before the app renders a single pixel. On a phone with 3 gigs RAM, that matters. No synchronous native API access in React Native with turbo modules. Dimensions is dimensions.getWindow, synchronous instant. In your architecture, we have to go through a bridge function, async round trip. Can't get the result in the same expression. Have to wait for event callback. Again, there are ways around this too. Every native API call is a bridge function that goes through the event loop. You can't touch width equals get screen width synchronously. Well, you just gave us the nice little API for it, so I bet we can. How to close the gap. Dirty tracking. Stop sending the whole tree. Publish a dirty list alongside the flat buffer. React Native solved this with their C++ stiffing. You can solve it at the flat buffer level with a simple memcomp
Memcopy. Oh, yeah,
per node, since you have a fixed 108 byte stride. That's a cache line friendly comparison. Synchronous bridge for reads for native API calls that just return data, screen dimensions, battery level, current locale. Skip the event buffer entirely. Use a separate small shared memory region as a register file. So just like carve out some basic stuff into memory, and you just have some of that there. That's not that's not solving it architecturally. It's very static. So I don't really like that. Kotlin writes this on every config change. PHP reads it directly, no bridge call, no round trip, just a memory read. Returns instantly. So some of these things, yes. I think maybe there's something similar to this at least could work. Optimistic rendering on the Kotlin side for common interactions. Button press changes text, toggle switches, counter increments. Kotlin could apply the update locally before PHP confirms it. That's interesting. Send event to PHP, async is normal. Immediately apply predicted state change and compose. When PHP publishes the next frame, reconcile. If PHP's result matches prediction, no op. That can get a little bit tricky, but in theory, I don't disagree with it. This turns a 48 to 96 millisecond interaction into 16 milliseconds perceived latency. The user sees the change instantly. PHP is still the source of truth. This is kind of like what it's like using what did Philip Gannett's come up with? What's that called? You know, the stuff. So like what is it?
No, not Blaze.
No, not Blaze.
He worked on that.
What? Yeah, but no, the thing that
Before
he was
that.
yeah. So it's like using Alpine basically for optimistic UI. So you're interacting with Alpine, and then later it's like queuing that back into PHP, into Laravel, into Livewire. What is it? Bond. That's it. Yeah. So something similar to that. I think that's kind of an interesting thing that we could think about.
Yeah.
Oh, it even says that's exactly what Livewire does with Wire Model Live and optimistic updates in the browser. Move the layout to C. Right now, PHP describes the tree and Compose computes layout. If you ran a layout pass in C, like Yoga or your own Flexbox implementation, you could send pre-computed pixel positions in the flat buffer. Compose would just place views at exact coordinates, no measure pass, no layout negotiation. I've seen it mention this a few times in the past, actually. This is what React Native does with Yoga. The C++ layout engine computes everything off the main thread, and native views just get placed at the computed positions. Adds complexity, though. Compose's built-in layout is pretty good, only worth it if layout becomes a bottleneck. Binary prop encoding. Right now, your prop buffer uses a self-describing format, key index type tag value. For hot path props like text, you could reserve fixed offsets in the node itself. You already have 108 bytes. You could bump to 128 and inline a short text pointer or hash. So text hash lets Kotlin skip the text comparison if the hash is unchanged. Text offset into prop buffer. Small win, but text is by far the most common prop. The honest summary, not going to read the whole thing, but where do we lose? The gap for interaction latency is closable with optimistic rendering. Rendering fidelity, we win in rendering fidelity. It is native Compose. They're bridging to native views. Developer ecosystem, different audiences, both strong. Laravel's massive. NPM is also massive. But I would definitely argue that ours is better maintained than that's been always an issue with NPM modules. You just lose, the developer quits and moves to Laravel basically and stops maintaining their old packages. Memory baseline, hard to close. PHP is just bigger. I've looked into this though. There's some things we could talk about there. Sync native APIs, yes. JSI, no async bridge. Closable with device state register, which we were talking about before. Incremental updates, the C++ tree diff versus a full tree republish. Closable with dirty tracking. There's another thing we can do here too. Background work is limited. JS thread. We have work manager, alarm manager. We win. It's native OS primitives that we can just push stuff to. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that doesn't
actually
feel right.
right?
that they'd be capable of the same thing.
I would imagine. Architecture complexity is very high for React Native, very low for us, and we win for that.
Yeah,
The two
and that
biggest
makes
wins
sense
I'd say,
intuitively from what we were saying, because he's trying to make
yep,
it work like React, basically. But yeah.
the fact that we can have this conversation to me is impressive, and the fact that it's not been done before, and where we can watch where we're at 6 months, a year from now, 2 years from now, because we're not stopping this at all. It's only going to get better. It's only the LLMs are only going to get smarter too, and we'll be able to do more. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, I think just on the memory one, it's kind of interesting. Like that whole, it uses it initially less memory or whatever to get things off the ground. I mean, I think that matters less and less as the majority of devices in the world are getting better and they have more memory, and the operating systems are getting better at handling that memory. I know this has been said lots of times before, and there's the portion of our community who, and I mean the software development community, not just Laravel PHP, but who go, performance matters at every stage, and you shouldn't be wasteful and all of these things. But my counter to that has always been, you should be pragmatic about it, because we didn't get to where we are today as a society and as an industry by bean counting every byte that we were creating. Like how many megabytes are you going to try and store, or how many bytes are you going to try and store on that floppy disk? Oh, there's only 1.44 megabytes. Like you need to write your code smaller and
Right.
save as much space as possible. Or we've only got a 200 megabyte disk drive, so like understandable when the constraints are like very tight. But we're not dealing with like microcontrollers that are being shoved into like pipes in mountains in the middle of nowhere. Like we're dealing with phones that everybody's got in their pocket that are doing like space flight level calculations every microsecond, even when they're not being used. So I just like the memory thing. I think is one of those things that people will hang on to, and they will say, "Oh yeah, but it uses more memory." And it's like,
Sure.
yeah, but it's not like marginal more by default, and then what you're getting for it as a result is like a faster result. Result being ambiguous, like a business result, not just output or whatever in your UI. And I think it's those, like, the point I'm bringing that up for is that this is something I said in my talk the other day, or touched on, really. I didn't say this explicitly, but that we need software engineers in general need to start moving up the abstraction layers a little bit more in the age of AI, and not just going like, I can sit on the stool of just like grinding away and making the most performant piece of software that ever existed. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Because it's just not going to matter anymore to the people who care about business outcomes. Like you could argue the case for it a while ago, because you could say like, this is gonna, me spending 2 weeks grinding on this one problem to shave off a few megabytes here and there, or a few cycles, could long term change the cost factor for this particular thing by what might amount to hundreds of thousands of dollars for the business. But now that things can just move so much quicker, I think people are just going to be less, like that. We're gonna solve that problem in the future. Like, you don't need to worry about it right now. So we just need, like, just move really quickly. Speed becomes like even more important the faster that you can go. because everybody can go faster, right? This is the business who isn't moving at the same pace as the others is going to get left behind.
I think that, yeah, I keep going back to, if we can at least be competitive in terms of performance in all the things that really matter, in boot time, capability, etc. I just strongly believe we're going to dominate in developer experience, because we're riding the shoulders of giants with Laravel, with 30 years of PHP being a known thing, with the documentations, the resources, the articles, the videos, the schools, the the fact that if you go to the new Laravel homepage, look at all of those freaking companies, huge fortune, New York Times, Pfizer, freaking everybody, like huge, are using this already. It's a trusted, well-maintained ecosystem. And so in some ways we're just like making Laravel that much better, and in other ways we're making the mobile world that much better. I just see it as nothing but love for everybody, and wanting to for me, I want to build my career on this. It's my personal, I want to be the guy that did this, and we are. That's what we are. So
we're the guy.
We are the guy.
We're the guy.
World.
So somebody, Alec Garcia, thank you, Alec.
Baldwin.
Found the tweet that I was talking about. Today we ran an experiment in which Opus 4.6 converted a 48,000 line Node.js API to Laravel. It took 4 hours, and when it was done, it was 18,000 lines. So it was over 50% smaller, if you want to consider lines of code as a thing. But even if you took that as like, it's the lines of the code don't matter. Obviously, Laravel is going to be, it's a another set of things and all the dependencies and whatever, but I don't know the exact details of that. But if you just think about it in terms of like, when an actual real person is looking at that, it's going to be easier for them to understand. And when an AI is looking at it, it's going to be easier for it to understand. It's going to be quicker. It's going to cost less. All of those things that I was talking about before. Super, super good, because that translates immediately to us. Go on.
One thing to say. Heyo! Good echo. What's up, brother? That's all. I was like, yes, Simon. And then a huge smile.
Shut up.
Neko. Hey, Neko. What's up, my man? So good to finally meet you, Laravel, Laracon EU. We've been talking for a month and a half. I talked to you a while ago, actually, about some other stuff, but really cool to finally meet you and hang out. He was like, you need another beer, Shane. He kept saying this. You need another beer. No, drink another one. He just kept giving me this look like, it's day 2. You're drinking a beer now. Your talk's over. Drink the beer. Okay. Yep. So fun. Yeah. So I'm freaking hungry as hell. I'm gonna go eat some food.
I was gonna say,
been on
it's
for like
coming up
3 hours.
3 hours. Oh my god.
We're gonna keep talking, you and I, but I'm gonna eat first, and I'm gonna say goodbye. We'll be back. Repair, thanks so much for joining. I hope you do again, and everybody else too, obviously. We will be back next Friday. We might start doing some other live streams during the week, though.
You keep saying this. It's been so busy.
We've been waiting for Laracon EU to be over. We got a couple. I just did it today. It's 74 days until I leave for Chicago. I go right from Chicago to Japan, and we're up in the air about London, which would be like right after that if we're going to London. So I might end up being gone for a month. We get back, and it's only a month to Laracon US. So go buy tickets to the Vibes, please, if you haven't already. If you're planning to go, or even if you're not planning to go to nativephp.com. If you're not going to Laracon US, I'm getting the link here. Go check out the Vibes. The Vibes is, did it post properly?
Yeah.
The Vibes is like a day 3. We're not calling it day 3 legally of Laracon, but it's the day after Laracon. And it's like you're going to be a little bit hungover. We'll have breakfast and coffee and Coke Zero and atmosphere and good times and conversation and networking. We're only opening up to 100 people right now. We might be able to add a few more. Plenty of tickets sold so far, but we need more tickets to be purchased. So please come hang out with us. We have been saying that we won't do any sort of talk, but we might do a talk, and
Might be
we might do a
something big
hack
to
and hang
reveal.
and show and tell, maybe something to reveal. Also depends on if we're speaking at Laracon as well too. So you never know.
What I said to you earlier this week, I think we should say out publicly. So I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to question it.
Okay.
We're going to do a competition on the day of sorts and give away some stuff, like a lot of
Yes.
stuff.
Lap
gonna
dances.
Give
Slap dances.
Yeah,
I meant slap
maybe.
dances. You know,
swag,
slap
lag,
dances.
swag, dag,
Leg
swag.
leg
No, I can't say it.
Yep. And then there's another thing I can't announce yet. So someone said the Laracon EU is in November. There's another one that I have been confirmed for that I can't say anything until they announce it. But there's another one coming up as well. And then there's another one. Actually, this one we can talk about. We've been invited to go to Greece in September. And so with Harris Raftopoulos and that would be so fun. Athens. Go ahead, finish your leg dance joke.
There was no joke. I was gonna say,
talking about the giveaway.
Continue rambling about it. Yeah.
The giveaway.
I don't know. Like, we haven't locked down any details of that, but I think
we should.
I think that leads us to we need an activity that everybody can get engaged in and sort of
yo-yo competition. Egg toss. Balloons.
I like the 3-legged race, like
a t-shirt.
just watching people just slam.
Dude,
the floor.
I will win. That's how I walk. That's how I walk on my own.
I don't think you use the third one for walking though. I think you just sort of drag it across the floor.
I use it however I can.
It just uses it for opening windows.
This is just a meetup repair. The event in Greece is just a meetup. I think it's the Laravel. I don't know what they call it. We'll come back sometime. We'll have a link. We'll talk about this again. But Harris from Laravel News, he's one of the organizers for a meetup.
He's been doing it for a really long time.
Yeah, it's one of the longest running ones. Yep.
Hey. We might be able to organize that. If this one goes well, I think we might be able to arrange a second one.
I will say this, maybe too soon to say. Well, it's definitely too soon. My mindset is I look at this year as getting really ready for next year. And next year I want to do a lot more outside of the Laravel and PHP community. I feel I have a very big heart to go win a bunch of people from other frameworks into what we're doing. And so I'm not saying, not going to any one place or anything, but I'm going to prioritize other events probably over doing Laravel specific ones. Some of them at least, because that's, I think, ultimately better for the entire ecosystem, not just our project, but for everything. We have a very good position here in that. So
we definitely have to switch it up at some point. I was having a conversation with Sebastian from Beyond Code, and sort of their approach, that they've launched. Yeah,
freaking huge.
Can you come down, please?
I'm huge. He's freaking huge.
I had to apologize to him because I feel like I say jokes about his height every time, and I'm like, I don't want to make the guy self-conscious about that. He already is, because he's been 12 feet tall for most of his life. So anyway, so it's just I was saying to, they've launched Polyscope, that thing, and I
So
was
good.
commenting on how it's really different from all of their other products to date because it's not really focused on like Laravel or even PHP specifically. Like you look at the landing page for Polyscope, there's really nothing about PHP on there at all, and certainly not Laravel. And it's like, okay, they've got little bits of integration with Herd and things for those of us that are kind of close to the things that they've been doing. And it made me think anyway, like there's got to be some strategy there behind that for them. And I just commented to Sebastian that from my perspective, it sort of makes sense. So they've been doing this for a long time, releasing products to the Laravel community and the PHP community. And I get the sense that maybe they've sort of tapped as much as they can of that with the kinds of things that they've been doing. And I do feel like we will get to the same point. There's going to be a bunch of people within Laravel, within PHP, who like what we're doing and they're happy to support it and all of that. But we're going to hit a plateau and we're going to have to find new people. I don't know if it's next year, but
I don't think it's not about the plateau being next year. It's that there's no reason stopping us from going to the Mobile World Conference, Apple Conference, GitHub, Microsoft, like where all these other developers are at, to show them what we've done here, because it's architecturally something brand new and it can showcase something as old as PHP and bring more excitement into the Laravel ecosystem and our project, obviously. And it's like, what is that? The tide that rises all ships kind of thing. We can be advocates for that. We can be some of that. We absolutely can be.
I think from that angle, it's really interesting because then we're just going and showing you like what we've been doing and not necessarily with the direct intent of like, hey, everybody, come and switch to this, start building your apps with PHP because, we think it's better. Would just be like showing them that it's better.
Right.
And then maybe some of them will think twice.
Yeah. And either way, you're going to start by going to those conferences. You're going to start networking with different people. People are going to come up to you and start talking to you about things. It's going to grow. It's not going to be like we're just laughed out from everything. I think initially we probably will be from some things, but I'm okay fighting that fight. I really don't give a shit. I want people to see this. And it's not like, now that it's free and open source, it's not just my brains, or it never has been anyway. It's been Claude and you. Like building this out, and it's like, look what's actually possible here, and look what you actually gain. Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't. Yeah, it
some
has
parts of it, the parts that still work.
Right. Yeah. So I'm ready to fight, and people in Laravel know I'm ready to fight. I want to go out. I want to win more people back. And imagine if they sell tickets at Laracon in 2 years, because they've only had 1,200, and all 1,200 were JavaScript developers that are coming because they like fell in love with Laravel community because they saw us at a different kind of conference. I have to dream like this.
Yeah, no, I do feel the same way. I think my approach to it is we go in not necessarily for the people who are already building stuff, because they're probably going to be settled on the way that they're doing things to a certain extent, but it's at least in that environment you might find some new people who they haven't made their minds up yet about what they're doing.
There are infinitely more businesses that are yet to exist than have ever
exactly
existed in the past. So
same with people.
Right. Exactly.
So it's just like awareness is like the biggest thing. And when people see and they've got an opportunity to make a choice, then it matters. So yeah, I'm fully behind that. But I also don't want to forget the Laravel kind of ecosystem and leave that behind. I'm very conscious of like,
and that's
still representing the
huge benefit of having a partner. of working in different sides of the globe, you know?
Look at that.
Yeah,
It's worked
we
out
can
for the
vote, we
best.
can tag team on this shit, you know?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Like, why not?
Well, yeah, or we get to the point where the business is doing well enough that it like someone else can go and do all these things.
Maybe I
Many
still
other
like
people.
it though. Like, yeah, I mean, that's another whole thing, and who knows, but yeah, I don't know. Time will tell. The future is yet to be discovered until I get off this call and go build stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I'm so
I'm
hungry,
just gonna
dude.
say I wanna take over the app stores. That's my main goal. Like if we got PHP running most apps on the stores, that's gonna be amazing. And we can.
It can happen. Dude, what is it? What do they say? Like, there's nothing separating someone. If somebody does something insane and they fail, they were stupid and crazy. But if they succeed, they were a genius. That's the only, the person themselves is the same person, right? It all depends on how successful they were. I'm going to just be crazy until I'm successful. And then everyone will see we were actually geniuses. And I'm ordering DoorDash.
Yeah.
You want to do
Keep
company
climbing
lunch
the
today?
mountain.
Can we do company lunch today?
That would be so
You've already
good.
eaten.
I did. But I need to eat again because it's like almost dinner time.
Your volume just got louder.
Oh, I don't know what I did.
I don't know either, but it was good. I'm gonna get
Good
some
job.
Thai.
Just eating ties.
Yes.
Like a stripy
I have these
one.
scarves. I have these scarves from India. Very beautiful.
You might want some ragu with that or something, just to like help it go down. Yeah, coffee. That'd be great.
Pad Thai, bang bang shrimp, gyoza. What do we got? They have a good curry. Well, they have curry. I haven't tried it yet. Red curry. I'm talking like
you're making me want. I want noodles.
I know, dude. Lo mein, some lo mein. Oh baby, it's so cool. Now I'm looking at apps. I've done this for like the last year. Look at apps and be like, how would I do that in web view mode? Now I look at it and I'm like, can do
That's
it in
so
like
easy.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Native, real native.
It's crazy.
Ping. Pineapple fried rice.
All right. Let's wrap it up. Let these poor people go.
They're gonna go eat some food too. Satay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a snack.
Tom yum. Oh, I'm so hungry. All right. Bye, you guys. We love you. Looking forward to the next one. Repair. Cool. Thanks for hanging out. RK, Raj, brother, I haven't said your name since you've been here. I've seen all your messages though. Don't think I haven't. Thanks for hanging out. We've got a lot to work on. A lot to work on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everybody. Don't forget to check out the vibes if you're coming to Laracon US.
Yeah, let's go.
Upvote this video, share it. That would be great. Etc.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Chris. Love you, bro.
See you, Kaneko. He's probably gone already.
See ya.